Hey, what's going on, everybody? We should be live. Let's give it a couple minutes, get some people rolling in here, and see what we got going on. King Frankie, yes, I am. That is the plan for now. That is the plan. I'm not sure which story I want to read yet because I got a couple things that we might have going on. I got to decide which one to actually do. Please let me know. I know there's only a few of us in here right now, but please let me know if the stream quality sucks or if the resolution goes down or however if there's buffering. I gotta know. I fixed some things. I made some changes to the settings. Hopefully that should help, but we'll see. Thank you, King Frankie. That means a lot to me, man. I've seen you in the comments for a long time too now, so I really appreciate that. And just so y'all know, I've been doing this for 5 to 6 years now. I know almost everybody's name. If you are a frequent commenter or even an every now and then commenter, I interact with everybody. Everybody gets a heart or a message at least, usually. I remember who was here from day one. I remember who's been here for 6 months. I love talking to y'all in the comments. It's one of my favorite things to do is to open up my phone in the morning and just see what went down on the day before while I was sleeping. All the messages everybody left. I love it. Vox, what's up, Vox? You may hear yourself in this live stream. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I'm gonna wait till a few more people get in here. Um, I'm either going to pick up on the story that we left off on, or I'm gonna pick up on the story we left off on the other day, or for everybody to know, I have like a 3.5 to 4 hour story in the works that I just secured everybody's lines for. I've got everybody's lines for them, and it's a whopper of a story. I can't wait to get it done. Can't wait for y'all to listen to it. I really enjoyed it. Um, I might work on that today. I'm not sure, and if I do, y'all will hear a whole bunch of other voice actors today. Dude, I absolutely love the Darling stories too. They are one of my favorites by far. So y'all let me know if we do the continuation from Cheesy's World. We can. Yeah, I'm sorry that stream got cut off too. By the way, I set a whole outro and everything, but then I forgot that there's like a 30-second delay. So when I hit stop streaming on my OBS software, it just completely cut out my outro, and it just sounded like I cut off in the middle of the story. I do have. Let's see. So we have Cheesy's World. If we pick up on Cheesy's World, for people who weren't here, I'll do like a brief summary. If we do the Cheesy's World too, that's a long story too, guys. That's like I didn't get the exact word count, but it looks like it's around a 2 hour story. Um, Please, this is also an Ask Me Anything stream because I'm still getting used to streaming. This is the second stream I've ever done. It's also the one from the other day. A big reason why I even did it in the first place and didn't even mention anything. Forgot to mention that it was the 26,000 subscriber kind of celebration stream. I wanted to do one. Well, I wanted to do one at 20,000 months ago, and then I just didn't. And then I wanted to do one at 25,000 subscribers, and I went ahead and I downloaded OBS software 6 months ago, and I should have. I've been slowly learning it here and there, but with all this YouTube stuff, guys, editing, voice acting, editing software, all this stuff, I am completely self-taught. I'm just going off of things that I've found on Google and YouTube and a bunch of other tutorials. And then I wanted to do that 25,000 sub stream, but I just didn't teach myself OBS soon enough. And then it just kind of got buried. But yeah, ask me anything you want. Within reason, I'll try to give the best answer I can. What's everybody been up to today? Tell me how your day's been. What have y'all done? I am eagerly awaiting the next Darling Twin Stories. Vesper comes out with one, maybe once every. I don't know. She kind of hammered out a bunch, and then now she comes out with one every 2 or 3 months or so. But Vesper's Bell has a ton of stuff that she works on all the time. Let's see, what did I do today? Woke up at, the baby woke us up at maybe 9 o'clock in the morning. I went to bed I tried to go to bed at 3. Ended up not actually falling asleep till maybe 5:30. Just laying in the bed, trying to sleep and couldn't. Baby girl woke us up, and then I went back to sleep for a little bit. My wife took care of things. I went back to sleep, woke up at 1, cut the grass. I knocked out some lines for We Try Horror. Check out his channel. He's an awesome editor. Does some really amazing things with audio and with Blender as well. He's on a lot of Dark Somnium videos. You'll see him on there as a collaborator. He's been bringing me into some projects. I've been bringing him into some projects. This story that I have coming up right now with these, it's a tribal jail corrections story. Like I said, it's around 4 hours long, I think, and he's got over half an hour of dialogue in this story alone. What's up, Cisco? Congrats on spawning in player number 3. Thank you, Vox. Thank you. Hopefully, I get to spawn in player number 4, 5, and 6. I want a lot of kids. I want a lot of kids. I'm 32, so I got to get working on it. I did not expect my first kid to be a girl. When you look at the family tree on my side, I have 4 siblings and 1 sister, and my poor sister grew up with. Thank you, Zachary. Wanted to say hi. Thank you. What's up, dude? My middle name's Zachary. My sister grew up as the only girl in basically the entire family. My mom's side of the family, there's 1 girl, and that's my mom's sister. And then there's 10 boys. And then on my dad's side of the family, there's only my dad's sister, and that's it. So it's my dad's sister, and then my sister, and then like 10 other boys. So she grew up a tomboy, to say the least. And then I had my first kid, and it's a girl, so that was a bit of a surprise. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Do we start on Cheesy's World, or do we just start editing the tribal officer? I'm thinking. All right, let me find the Cheesy's World. Let's see. This came at the small cost of my sanity as he repeatedly echoed the noise, but it was his day, so I let him be. All right, I gotta find where that is. But it was his day, so I let him be. There it is. Man, I hate having to record with headphones on. It just feels so weird. I got a little bit of a headache too, everybody, but hopefully that should go away soon. I might take some goodies powder or something, but we'll see how it goes. All right, so for Cheesy's World, for anybody that missed Cheesy's World, and it's always very nice to see you on collabs with other channels. It is. Thank you, Cisco. I absolutely love collaborating. I think it's so much fun. I love hearing my voice in somebody else's story on someone else's channel. I think that's so cool. And hearing how they edit in different ways, I love it. I love it. Especially We Try Horror. I mean, the guy is a freaking wizard with Adobe. So Cheesy's World, basically, we're 30 minutes into it, and don't worry if you missed out. I'll sum it up pretty much. It's from the point of view of like a teenager. I don't know what his name is, but it's the teenager, and he has like a 5 or 8 year old brother, Amari, and pretty much it's the young kid's birthday, and he wants to go to Cheesy's World, and then it takes a lot of pokes and digs at the fact that it's obviously a ripoff of Chuck E. Cheese. And the older brother actually is super excited to go to Cheesy's World, even though he's 15, 16. But his couple of his friends, he has a girl who's a friend and then 2 guy friends. They're kind of like poking fun at him, think it's kind of silly. Oh, you like that little kid stuff, blah blah blah. And then one of the kids, I think his name was Jose or Ruiz, he tells him, "Hey man, you know that weird stuff goes on over there, and kids end up going missing. Did you know about that?" And he's like, "What? What are you talking about?" And then eventually he finds out that a lot of kids actually do go missing at Cheesy's World. So I think we'll start with this and then just see how it goes. And then it picks up with the kid, the brother, and his family at Cheesy's World, and then the kid kind of threw a little bit of a fit. And there we are. But it was his day, so I let him be. Let me find. I've got like 10 audio things up right now because I have this story, the tribal officer story, and then I have everybody's lines. To give y'all an update on the tribal story, it's going to be, let's see, we got Dexter, Vidith, TJ Lee, Dusklight Radio, We Try Horror, Vox Animus, and Whispering Scream. All right, let me find Cheesy's World. Here it is. the noise, but it was his day, so I let him be. For the next few hours, things were normal. Amari was still a bit snippy when we tried to talk to him, but he kept it in check as much as possible as we went around the park. Though Amari wasn't totally engaged with the activities, he wasn't throwing a fit either, which was a win. However, when he got to the fiercest roller coaster in the park, he tugged on Mom's shirt and pointed towards concert. When he got to the fiercest roller coaster in the park, he tugged on Mom's shirt and pointed towards Concert Hall. "But I want to see the show," he whined. "Amari, your brother has been waiting to go on this ride all day, and we did everything he wanted to do," my mother said firmly. "We've been waiting in line for half an hour. We are not getting out of it to go to the show right now." He stomped his foot down and tears started to well in his eyes. "Hey, come on, Mom. It's just one ride, and you'll love it." Oh no, he said, "Come on, man." All right, let's see. Vox and Dexter are two of my favorite narrators. There you go, man. Absolutely, absolutely. I haven't had Vox on yet. I can't wait to have her on the channel. The tribal officer, that could come out anywhere between a week or a month. I'm not sure. His foot down and tears started to well in his eyes. "Hey, come on, man. It's just one ride, and you'll love it," I said, trying to cheer him up. "No!" Amari yelled back. "I want to see the band's show." "That's it!" my mom yelled. She grabbed Amari by the arm and dragged him out of the line and towards the exit. My dad and I tried to follow carefully behind, but my mom was determined to storm back to the car and get home, with Amari fighting her the whole way. But just before we reached the gate, another character, a yellow duck with long blonde hair, pom-poms, and a shirt with a pizza on it, jumped in front of us. I think she caught my mom off guard because it... Man, sometimes those really long sentences screw you up a little bit. Let's see. Pom-poms and a shirt with a pizza on it jumped in front of us. I think she caught my mom off guard because it stopped her march in her tracks. "Nina!" No, I did that in the mom's voice. Mom off guard because it stopped her march in her tracks. "Nina!" Amari yelled, pointing to the dancing duck. Nina started to dance around and shake her pom-poms. As strange as it was, I could tell that she was doing this for a reason. Amid her frantic dancing, it looked like she was trying to motion towards the concert hall. Long sentence, who's saying it? All right, the brother. She was trying to motion towards the concert hall. "Hey, the concert hall is right over there, and I don't think the band has played yet. Maybe we should just let Amari have this since we're already here?" I said, putting a hand on Amari's head. My parents weren't exactly buying what I was selling, so I pushed further. "Can we please do this just for him? He hasn't had the happiest day, and maybe we can just do one thing to make sure that his birthday is still a special one." My parents conferred for a moment, and my dad shrugged and gave the nod. "Fine, but Amari, I want this to be the end of your attitude." With a smile on my face, I texted Chloe to make her way over, and inside, the animatronic band was on full display. Cheesy stood front and center with a microphone in hand. The gray mouse was in his classic attire. A green t-shirt featuring a pizza with bites out of it forming the letter C. He wore athletic shoes and large yellow shoes accompanied by his traditional white gloves. All of this was topped off by one of those colorful hats with the propeller on the top. Cheesy was leading his group of pizza-loving anthropomorphic animals. As we stood in the crowd, Amari began to bounce to the music, and he even managed to convince our parents to buy him some of Cheesy World's famous pizza. For a moment, he seemed happy. My mom even managed to get a picture of him smiling with pizza hanging out of his mouth, holding the toy he won from the arcade. That was until another kid walked up and grabbed Amari's toy. Oh, hit the microphone. Let's see. All right, we got that's coming up. It looks like it's in checking out the voices. All right, holding the toy he won from the arcade. Holding the toy he won from the arcade. Hanging out of his mouth, holding the toy he won from the arcade. That was until another kid walked up and grabbed Amari's toy. "Look, Mommy, can we get one?" The other little boy looked up at his mom with pleading eyes. Amari didn't take too kindly to this. He immediately stood up, snatched the action figure away, and yelled, "No!" Before anyone could react, he pushed the kid down. My dad immediately grabbed Amari and started dragging him to the exit. I knew that Amari had been upset, but he had never been violent. We were absolutely shocked by the sudden outburst. Alright, I'm not going to lie. I think the parents are overreacting a little bit on that, because if some kid took my toy or my brother's toy when we were kids like that, they'd be getting a smackdown. When you see this little thing pop up, that's me like muting and unmuting the microphone, but the hotkey is also tied to the de-esser and the Audacity. But I got some Diet Coke action going on, and it makes you burp. Diet Coke is very carbonated. Does anybody have any like funny stories too? When I was thinking about them being in line and the kid throwing a fit, it reminded me when I was like 12 years old and my younger brother would have been 8. We went to Universal Studios. And we were there. It was nighttime. It was dark. And it was the first time we've ever been there. And we get in line for the Revenge of the Mummy ride, the roller coaster. Freaking awesome ride, by the way. We get in line and we're going through it. Long ass line. You know, there's 6 of us. My mom, dad, my siblings are all in line waiting. And we've been in there forever. And then the further in line you get on the Mummy ride, like the creepier it gets. It kind of starts off like, oh, cool scenery, it doesn't look that bad. And then the further you get and closer you get to the ride, it starts getting a little more dark. There's like red lighting. You hear the creepy sound effects. And my little brother just starts crying, especially once he sees the ride, because I think it like zooms you off at the beginning. And my little brother is like bawling his eyes out. We've waited probably an hour and a half in this line. And my dad is like, fuck this. We are not getting out of line. We've waited all damn day. And then he does that dad thing with the hand on the shoulder and brings you in and gives you that little quiet whisper in the ear of like, you need to smarten up. And then we do get on the ride, and then my little brother was fine afterwards. But, also, kids are scared of things until you show them how to do it or you get them on there. And they're like, oh, it's really not that bad. But that is a fun ride, and that whole interaction made me think of that. All right, let's see. The sudden outburst. We were absolutely shocked by the sudden outburst. Before we made it outside, Dizzy stepped in our path. He was tall, with soft, drooping eyes, and dressed in attire one would associate with someone who lived on a farm, complete with a straw hat. His long limbs completely blocked the exit. "Move," my dad coldly stated to the character. He simply shook his head and pointed to a guy rushing over. For the first time in what felt like forever, I saw what appeared to be a regular employee dressed in plain clothes. "Hey, folks, I saw everything that happened just there, and here at Cheesy's World..." Let me think of a voice for this guy. "How you doing, Kevin? Getting any work done on building your studio?" Not yet. I think I've got enough money for it. I've got $2,000 saved up. If there's any like construction people or carpenters in the chat, there's only 10 of us in here right now, but let me know. It's going to go on the second floor of my house. The joists are 16 inches apart. I think it's going to be on a load-bearing wall. It's going to be in the corner of one of the bedrooms. But I'm looking at how much it's going to weigh. Basically, it's going to be made of the structure or whatever is going to be made out of 2x4s. I want it to be 4x4 feet, because I want it to be as like much of a footprint as I can to disperse the weight as much as I can. So it's, not too heavy for one area. I think it's going to be like at least 600 pounds, because it's going to be a layer of drywall. Then it's going to be at least at least an inch of rock wool for the sound dampening. And the drywall is also for sound dampening, and it's just to make it look a little better. And then I was going to do another layer of drywall on the inside, but that just made it way too freaking heavy. So I'm going to change that probably to just like, it's like some kind of plywood. And then on the inside, it's going to have like, that cheap ass black carpet that people like, you'll see that just like covering over like concrete in like basements or something like that. Just to help with a little bit of the sound dampening, and then probably put up some panels. But it's going to be at least 600 pounds, I think. And then with me in it, and then my computer and desk and stuff, it's going to be about another 200 pounds. I've asked like 5 people. Everyone so far has said that should be fine. 600 pounds plus another 200 when you're in and out of it. We'll see. I really want that done soon. Now I just got to find somebody to build it. I was gonna build it myself, but I'm like, if I build it myself, I'm gonna have to buy all the shit, like the saws and all that stuff. That might put me over budget a little bit. But that's what we got going on for it so far. Let's see. I'm going to put a goal of just if we can Q&A. No, let's see. I took off work tonight so I could do the live stream. If we can hit like 10 super chats would be awesome. Of any amount, that'd be sweet. If we can get some good super chats, good, it's in a relative sense. If we can just get some over, I want to try to do this for at least an hour tonight and maybe 2 hours. If we can get some super chats flowing, just to help cover somewhat of missing work, not even the whole amount, just enough to justify me taking off work. I want to do this at least once a week. I think that would be awesome to do live readings once a week. It gives everybody a chance to hang out. I love talking with y'all. Actually being able to talk to y'all live, I think is super cool. I love it. I'd love to do this one time a week. And on top of that, it's going to be stories that haven't come out yet. So it's kind of like if you're there for the live stream, you get a whole story early. And then you get a little bit of banter back and forth. But yeah, you get the story early. I might even start doing like ones that only go to members or Patreon. So if you're there for the live stream, you get that story too. Could we get one of those pre-built little Home Depot sheds? Yeah, that'd be cool, but I don't know. I don't know how that would work. They're probably pretty heavy too, and I don't think they actually do much for sound. All right, let's head back into the story where plain clothes. To be a regular employee dressed in plain clothes. Hey, folks, I saw everything that happened just there, and here at Cheesy's World, we like to provide a safe and healthy environment and get to the point, my mom said, cutting him off. Right. Well, we'd just like to bring you in to talk about the incident so that we can make a report. I'd like to assure you that you're not in trouble and we get these things happen. We just want to be responsible when they do. Eh? Where's your son? He's right here. My dad suddenly realized he was grasping at air. He frantically looked around but didn't see Amari. My dad suddenly realized he was grasping at air. He frantically looked around but didn't see Amari anywhere. Amari! He yelled. Amari! Yelling sounds kind of funny in my story sometimes, guys, because you kind of have to, I can't yell in the microphone. You have to like mess with like your settings every time you do, and then so it kind of just sounds like you're fake yelling, so it just sounds a little bit goofy sometimes. Just bear with me. Amari! He yelled. Amari! It took my parents all of a second to run around the concert hall, searching for Amari. I stood in shock, unsure of what to do. Had he really run off? So much of this seemed out of character for him, even when he got emotional. I told my parents I'd be right back, and I ran outside, spurred on by pure adrenaline, screaming his name. I sprinted the perimeter of the concert hall, down by the train, and around every building. There's a weird comma there, so it messed up the flow. Let's see. Adrenaline, screaming his name. Screaming his name. Hiccups, excuse me. Okay, just read like spurred on by pure adrenaline, screaming his name. I sprinted the perimeter. What the hell is that? That's not a word. Spurred on by pure adrenaline, screaming his name. I sprinted the perimeter of the concert hall, down by the train, and around every building he could be hiding behind, desperately searching for him. I pushed numerous people out of my way and made sure every person I passed wasn't trying to escape with Amari. By the time I got back, I could see my parents were in tears. They were being told that we needed to go back to the park manager's office to talk about security about where Amari could be. Thank you so much, Janice. That is awesome. Cisco, appreciate it. Janice, love your stories, $5. Cisco, $10. Thank you so much. My aunt's name is Janice, by the way. We just call her Aunt Jan. Oh no, I hate the hiccups. I'm like a weird hiccuper. Like I'll just have like 5 random hiccups throughout the day. Let's see. This actually, them talking about right now about them like looking for the person, scare their kids. My parents did not take us to like any county fair until we were like 15 years old because my dad was super paranoid. I don't know about also too. I remember one time I had to have been 5 or younger. I don't know if any of y'all have almost ever been kidnapped. But I remember I was probably 5 years old, and it had to have been some kind of Halloween thing. But it was during the day, so it could have been just like a fall festival. I was 5 or younger, and I remember like hay bales being everywhere, ones that you sit on, and I think there was like a hay, straw maze or something like that. And it's very sparse, but I do remember, it's really weird. I don't know where my parents were. Maybe I was being a little shithead and I wandered off somewhere. But I remember a woman coming up to me and then saying like, "Where are your parents? Where are your parents?" And then I'm like, I don't know what the hell I said. And then I remember her telling me to get in her van. And I don't know what happened after that. I don't know if I just ran away from her. But yeah, it was a van, one of those like minivans where the door slides. Thank goodness I didn't get in it. I don't know what the hell that was. I wish I could like actually revisit that memory and see what the hell was going on there. And maybe I'm just remembering it wrong because I didn't get kidnapped, thankfully. But that's my little story there. And yeah, my parents did not like us going anywhere because my dad, I remember there was some cases around here, or maybe like around like the amusement park around here where someone got caught. A kid went to the bathroom, maybe like 5 to 8, and then the guy was trying to kidnap a kid, and he was going to the bathrooms, and he had like a little hair buzzer, and then he went in there and he took the kid somehow, and somehow the kid didn't make any noise, and then he like buzzed the kid's head to like throw people off of what the kid looked like. And then he almost made it out of the park with him, but then somehow the guy got caught, thankfully. So then my dad heard that story when we were young. So he was very, very. We went to like amusement parks when we were younger, but like not like fairs, not like a circus or anything like that. She offered me candy. I was almost kidnapped during a church event by a woman. Hey, me and you, a lady. Offered me candy. I was a fat kid that loves candy. Well, thankfully you didn't get in the van either, man. Cause jeez. His office to talk about security about where Amari could be. I was terrified. A million thoughts ran through my head. Did someone take him? Did he wander off? Is he safe? I could already feel the tears parading down my face as I was constantly bombarded by thoughts of worst-case scenarios. Anger at myself started to boil up in my body. How could I have let him go like that? And why the fuck weren't these park employees freaking out as much as my parents and I were? Once we arrived, they assured us they had people around the park looking for him and that security was checking the cameras. We stayed all the way through closing, and there were no developments. This wasn't a good answer for any of us, as my parents berated management and security for not doing a good enough job of getting their son back. In their minds, he couldn't have just disappeared with no one seeing anything. Eventually, the police got involved, and after my older sister pulled me away. Thank goodness. Thanks for keeping the chat going too, King Frankie. Couldn't have just disappeared with no one seeing anything. Oh, where was that? I don't know. Seeing anything? It's up there. Couldn't have just disappeared with no one seeing anything. Eventually, the police got involved, and after hours more of waiting, they told us that they'd handle it. Still, we needed to go home because there was nothing else to be done. It hurt me so profoundly to walk away without Amari. It felt like we were leaving him in there to some unknown fate. I was prepared to stay there every second it took until he was safe with us, and yet the reality of the situation meant that we had to go. So many emotions were firing inside of me. Anger, sadness, confusion. I just wanted my brother back, and it felt like we weren't doing enough to make that happen. I hadn't looked at my phone until we were walking towards the gates, and when I saw a litany of missed calls and texts from Chloe. At the time, I didn't have the strength to see her. When the shock wore off, I could only manage to send a message that read, "Amari is missing." I watched as rats scattered out from underneath our car, and the moment the three of us got in, we broke down. My dad punched the steering wheel, and my mom clung to him wailing. We all cried for a long time that night, and the tears didn't stop all the way home. Weeks went by with absolutely nothing. We tried to keep in contact with the park and the police every day, but we always got the same response. They were looking into it. From what we were being told, they were contacting people that had been at the park and poring over hours of security footage, but there were no new developments. We tried organizing search parties to look around the various cities surrounding Cheesies and hunting down employees that worked that day, but no one had any information. To say that I was frustrated was an understatement. It felt like nobody in the world cared for... To say that I was frustrated was an understatement. It felt like nobody in the world cared a fraction as much as I did. People get arrested for murders where all they have... I said where, funny. Let's see. People get arrested for murders where all the world cared a fraction as much as I did. People get arrested for murders where all they left behind was a single strand of hair. Yet my brother was taken right... not right. I try to read these as perfectly as possible, and I was going to flip-flop from and right. They left behind was a single strand of hair. Yet my brother was taken from right under me, and all anybody could say is, "I don't know?" How the hell does that make any damn sense? Yeah, I don't say GD, by the way. All right. How the hell does that make any damn sense? Depression hit me hard. I couldn't escape the stain of guilt Amari's disappearance left on my mind and in my heart. My brain worked overtime trying to process the potential variables leading up to his disappearance. Maybe if my lazy ass had woken up earlier, he wouldn't have been in a bad mood to begin with. Maybe if I didn't insist we go on that roller coaster. Maybe if I had just kept my eyes on him for 1 second longer. If I had done one fucking thing differently, maybe my brother might still be here. I get to see that beautiful smile and hug him when I came back from school. Stressful thoughts plagued my mind. I couldn't eat. I became lethargic, and the pain of losing Amari made my stomach churn whenever I was reminded of his absence. As a result, I was unfit to attend school for weeks. When you live in a small town, word travels fast. And this was the biggest news story to happen in years. When I returned, The darting eyes and whispers surrounded me constantly, and the ever-present headlines on the local news only served to remind me of the pain. Local news only served to remind me of the pain. Chloe and Mark tried their best to make sure that I was okay, but realistically, how could a 17-year-old ever be expected to deal with a loss like that, especially when a lot of that loss was still a mystery? On Monday after class, I was sitting by myself at the tables just outside the library. I had taken to doing a lot of my schoolwork outside of home because I felt I could focus better without the reminder that Amari wasn't there. Suddenly, someone walked up from behind and covered my ears from behind my eyes. Focus better without the reminder that Amari wasn't there. And suddenly, someone walked up from behind and covered my eyes from behind. That sentence just messes me up because behind's in there twice. Walked up from behind and covered my eyes from behind. "Guess who?" asked a playful voice. If I had to guess, I'd say Chloe?" I replied. "Aw, you couldn't have at least given me one free wrong guess?" Chloe said, slightly disappointed. I shrugged. "What can I say? I'm pretty good at guessing the voices of people I've known since I was 6. Call it a superpower." I immediately noticed the girl standing next to Chloe. The two almost looked like twins outside of the fact that the girl's hair was blonde instead of brunette, and she had no freckles. "Hey, Amber." "Hey," Amber replied with a wide smile. "I know you've been down because of everything that happened, so I wanted to maybe help cheer you up." "Oh?" I said with a raised eyebrow. "And how's that?" "Well," she tossed her blonde hair over one shoulder. "There's this college party going down on Friday a few towns over, and I know a couple of the guys in the frat, so I could definitely get you in if you wanted." I think Chloe could sense what I was going to say before I said it because she instantly hit me with, "Come on, it'll be fun. One night to forget about everything. Brandon, it's awful seeing you hurt like this. Maybe it'll help." I sighed and stood up. "Yeah, right. Look, I gotta go. I'll let you guys know when I know." I began to make the walk home. After a 20-minute walk, I reached my house. But as soon as I reached for the doorknob, I felt my phone buzz. Looking at the caller ID, I could see that Mark was calling. "What's up, man?" "Brandon, dude, I heard Chloe and Amber invited you to that party on Friday." "Yep, I do recall that happening 20 minutes ago." "And you turned them down? Amber's one of the hottest girls in school, dude." "I said I'll let them know." "Come on, bro, she's just trying to help. I know what you're going through is rough, and I can't even imagine what I'd do if I lost my sister, but if you keep wallowing in pain, you'll never feel better." Mark's voice lowered a bit before he picking up again. Nope, perking up, not picking up. The realistic ones are always super creepy. I agree, Frankie, that's why I stay away from "let's not meet again" stories. I know exactly what you mean. The realistic ones tend to be the scariest. Like, I can listen to supernatural ones all day, but like the real ones, the "let's not meet," or like, I met someone on Craigslist, or the DoorDash or Uber driver that got kidnapped, those ones freak me out the most. Especially since I do DoorDash and Uber during the day, actually during the night, but yeah. Let's see, where are we? "Sir, but if you keep wallowing in pain, you'll never feel better." Mark's voice lowered a bit before perking up again. "You need to do things that make you happy. And as dumb as it sounds, maybe this is the opportunity to forget for a few hours. Getting drunk isn't going to solve my problems, Mark. Maybe that works for you." Oh, I hit the microphone, son of a bitch. Getting drunk, y'all don't see when I'm recording, but my hands and my arms, my head are like, I'm flying around all the time, like doing like the real hand motions, getting into the character, being like, "Getting drunk isn't going to solve my problems," and I'm thinking that in my head, and I'm doing the hand motions too, and sometimes I'll whack the microphone. "Getting drunk isn't going to solve my problems, Mark. Maybe that works for you, but alcohol isn't bringing Amari back. Plus, what the hell would you know about dealing with trauma? I hadn't even noticed how much I raised my voice. It's great that you think you have an idea of how you would feel, but nobody really knows what this pain is like unless they fucking go through it. I don't need a damn lecture about my own feelings. Mark went silent for a moment. I wanted to apologize for attacking him, but before I could, he started speaking again. You know, I never told anyone that my mom's sister was murdered. It impacted her for years, and seeing her go through that emotion was really hard. Your parents are supposed to be your rock, and when they can't keep it together, then how do you think a child feels? He paused again to think. For a long time, I felt guilty for not getting to know my aunt, but in a way, I guess I'm lucky that not knowing her made the pain not as bad. But my mom was devastated, Brandon. And the only way she pulled herself out of it was trying. She made an effort to be happy. And even though she carries that pain to this day, she can still smile and be kind and enjoy life. Mark, I don't, man, it's cool. My point is, it's natural to feel what you're feeling. I'm sure that the other families lost their kids there felt the same. I'm sure that the other families that lost their kids there. Okay, yeah. I just read it wrong. Read it funny. Hate when I whack the mic on an otherwise good take. That's right. I think that's why I love your story so much, because you bring the characters and the worlds they live into life. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you. Natural to feel what you're feeling. Natural. Oh, damn. I don't have to go back that far. Here. Redo. Undo. Their kids. Oh, yeah, I do have to. Okay. It's natural to feel what you're feeling. I'm sure that the other families that lost their kids there felt the same pain. But you have to start somewhere, no matter how much it hurts. At the end of the day, there's still hope Amari will be found. But it doesn't help to mope around until you get the news that he's either found or, you know. Yeah, you're right. I'll figure it out. Just give me some time. Of course, if you need anything, Chloe and I are here for you. Yeah, I got you. I hung up, went inside, and walked out to my room with mixed emotions. Was it really as simple as just doing things I liked and pretending to be happy until I was? What was really the healthiest way to deal with this? And what about the other families? How would they deal with it? The sudden realization hit me like a Mack truck. The other families. I rushed to my laptop to do some research. I said that funny. Like a Mack truck. The other families. I rushed to my laptop to do some research. I found a lot of news sites that reported that. Let's see. Found a lot of news sites. I rushed to my laptop to do some research. I found a lot of news sites that had reported on the disappearances. Child goes missing from beloved amusement park 1967. Child at Cheesy's never found 1973. Parents baffled at child's disappearance at Cheesy's 2005. Every single fucking year. It was never on the same date. No two kids seemed alike. But the one consistent thing was the age. All of them were between 5 and 12. Not only was Jose right about the sheer number of cases, but he was also right about some of these stories being absolutely buried. It looked like some families had to go to really obscure sites to mention that their kids disappeared. And even then, there was never a lot of information given or any follow-up stories done. Why weren't more mainstream sites reporting on them? I thought. This place had been associated with a ton of missing kids. All of the police interviews done in subsequent years, all of them had said that they were looking, but there was no clear evidence to go on. I dug further and found that the owner had only ever commented on the kids once in the 90s. Most of it was typical PR jargon, but there was one quote that stuck out to me. He mentioned that wherever they were, he was sure they were happy and healthy. What the fuck does that mean? I whispered to myself. Why on earth would you assume a missing child is happy or healthy? It was a simple remark that didn't get much play in the media and easily could have meant nothing. But the fact that he wanted everyone to pretend like things were okay gave me a bad vibe. Why at Cheesy's? What the hell did he know? I couldn't go rushing into some CEO's house, but maybe I could talk to someone who had more knowledge than me. I dug until I found the phone number of a woman who had lost a kid at the park over 2 decades ago. She had been in several legal battles and had even gotten herself into trouble for trying to stalk. A woman who had lost a kid at the park over 2 decades ago. Oh shit, where was that? 2 decades ago. Woman who had lost a kid at the park over 2 decades ago. She had been in several legal battles and even gotten into trouble. Woman who had lost a kid at the park over 2 decades ago. She had been in several legal battles and even got into trouble herself for trying to stalk the owner, along with breaking and entering into the park a few times. I didn't expect her to have all the answers, but if there was anyone who could tell me something important about the park, it was her. Finding her number was easy, and I immediately called her up. After only a couple rings, a scratchy voice, no doubt ravaged by years of cigarette smoke, picked up on the other end. Hello? I don't know. Is that a little too goofy for that voice? Let's see. Oh, is the internet going to shit? Let me know, guys. I think my internet's. I hate this fucking internet. Let me just run a little test here real quick. I'm seeing the buffering. Oh my gosh, my upload speed has dropped to 2 Mbps. What the fuck? Ah, fuck. Did the whole thing just stop? Alright. I switched the internet. Hopefully switching didn't, drop the stream. Let's see. Thank you, Frankie. Thank you. All right. I'm looking at my OBS, and it says that the connection's good again. So I'm going to go back to the story. Where are we at? Hello? Oh, yeah. Is that too goofy? Let's just shop working her name, her voice real quick. Yes, it is. How can I help you? Cheesy's World. What specifically about? I don't know. We'll try it. We'll see how that works. Up on the other end. Cigarette smoke. Picked up on the other end. Hello? Hi. My name is Brandon. Is this Miss Turner? Yes, it is. How can I help you? Ooh, cool. What is that? What is that? Cisco? I don't know what a gift is. That looks neat. Thank you. Never seen one of those. How can I help you? Not wanting to scare her or make her think that I was some weirdo looking to connect over tragedy, I made up a lie. I know this is going to sound strange, but I'm a student doing a research project on some places that had an impact on us growing up. I happened to pick Cheesy's World, and I was wondering if I could talk to you. She went silent on the other end for a moment, and when she spoke again, I could hear a hint of stress in her voice. Cheesy's World? What specifically about it. The project has to include a history of the place, and from my research, I found that your family's name came up in a couple of articles because of what happened. Another moment of silence passed before she talked again. How old are you, Brandon? 18? Another lie. Can you come to my place? I can't talk right now, but I'll be free at about 9 tonight if you want to speak to me about what happened. But I'm only free tonight. I hesitated. I only had my permit and no car, which meant it would be difficult for me to meet Miss Turner. However, it was a chance I had to take. I'll be there. Miss Turner gave me an address about a 40-minute drive away, and once we hung up, it only took me a moment to realize who I should call. I promptly dialed Chloe's number. Hey, Chloe. Brandon, hey, are you doing better? I might have found a path to that. Yeah. Can you do me a favor? Anything. What's up? Can you come by at around 8 and take me somewhere? It's kind of far, though. Yeah, I think I can get all my homework done by then. What's going on? Ooh, gold coin. Nice, Cisco. Thank you. Let's see. All right. What's going on? It's weird. Okay. I wonder what the creepypasta element is going to be here. Let's see. It's getting hot in here. Let me move around a little bit. Get all my homework done by then. What's going on? It's weird. I can't really explain what's happening. I'm kind of just going off of instinct here. Look, you mentioned the party on Friday, right? I promise to go and have as great of a time as you want me to have, but only on the one condition you do this for me, no questions asked. On the one condition you do this for me, no questions asked. Of course. It doesn't have to be no questions asked. I'm here for you anytime. I thanked her repeatedly and hung up. The seeds of what I was planning to do were already forming in my head, and unfortunately, I had to keep Chloe as far away from the truth as possible. I know it sounds stupid and selfish, and it absolutely was, but I didn't want to risk Chloe getting too deeply involved in something that was my burden to bear. Not only that, if she knew I was doing research on the park, she'd do everything in her power to convince me to stay away for the sake of my mental health, including not giving me a ride. But still, I could clearly see that my friends were really making an effort to make me feel better, and that meant the world to me. I didn't know how I'd do it, but I needed to make it up to them somehow. I waited until about 8:15, and just like she said, Chloe was right outside. I would have told my parents that I was going out to catch a movie, but they were gone. Oddly enough, they were a lot of doesn't read. I gotta redo that. Eating some meatballs and a vegetable stew. Oh, my dad used to make the best. I don't know if you'd a stew, I guess. It would be like, there was like meat in it, like, like beef, like steak almost, like squares. I don't know what cut it was. It was nice and tender. Lima beans, diced up like potatoes. I think it was a tomato sauce kind of, quality to it with the liquid. Oh man, it was so good. He would make it, and he would make it in like 15-gallon, like huge, like metal. Fuck you, boiling pan. What the hell those things are called? It was like a damn cauldron on the stove. Oddly enough, right, where are we? My parents said I was going out to catch a movie, but they were gone. Oddly enough, they were a lot of the. Fuck, I fucked it up again. My parents said I was going out to catch a movie, but they were gone. Oddly enough, there were a lot of days in the recent weeks where I completely missed one or both of them. But that was an issue for another time. Before greeting Chloe, that was an issue for another time. Before meeting Chloe, I sent out a text to Miss Turner stating that I was on my way, and we began the drive over. So, are we picking... Oh, no, that's Chloe's voice, not Miss Turner. My way. And we began the drive over. So, are we picking up Mark? Nah, he's got a project to work on. I'm pretty sure if he doesn't get an A, he's going to fail the class, and I respect that, so guess it's just us. Just like old times. Yeah, back when things weren't as fucked up. Stop that, Brandon. Can we not bring the mood down? It's a long ride, and I want to keep things as positive as possible. Want to know why Amber thought the party would be a good idea? Why's that? She said she knows a girl who's single and a guy she thought was cute. Wait, and as a cute guy. Oh. Party would be a good idea? Why's that? She said she knows a girl who's single and has a guy... Fuck, I fucked it up. Party would be a good idea? Why? So for some reason, when I read in female voices, it just fucks up my brain. I'm like... it's like I forget how to read sometimes. Party would be a good idea? Why's that? She said she knows a girl who's single, and as a cute guy, she thought. I nearly spat snot out of my nose as I laughed at Chloe's revelation. Hold up. Was the party an excuse to set me up with some girl she knows? But for the record, we're going to get kicked out as soon as we get in. Mark would tell you that from experience. She responded with laughter and brushed the hair out of her face. Once again... Oh, no, that was not a voice. Okay, that's a narrative voice. She responded with laughter and brushed the hair out of her face. Once again, I got to see that beautiful smile. This was another moment where I really noticed Chloe. Every perfect feature brought together by those stunning eyes. But on top of it, we had been so close. This girl is the reason I'm not failing most of my classes. She's been my biggest supporter at my lowest points, and the number of inside jokes we have about the dumbest things is endless. It simultaneously filled me with warmth and sadness. Here I was, around someone I cared so much about, and yet I was lying to her. I hadn't told Chloe about what I found or who I was meeting. I planned to leave her in the car and come up with some bullshit excuse once I got back, and it killed me. Mainly because she had done me the kindness of taking her own time to do something for me. The least I could do was keep the conversation positive. We laughed and laughed throughout the ride, and it felt like my problems were melting away. Of course, the circumstances didn't allow me to feel completely normal, but for the moment, I felt better than I had in a long time. We drove up to a non-distinct house in the middle of a dark suburb. I searched up the address again and confirmed that this was indeed the house. Chloe started to get out, and before she could, I grabbed her arm. What are you doing? She asked, confused. I've got to go in alone. Why? She snapped at me. I drove all the way here for you to leave me in the car? It's really personal stuff, Chloe. Remember, I said no questions asked. I promise it's nothing too crazy, and I just really need to talk to this person. I won't be more than 20 minutes. And if I try to come in with you anyway? I'm not getting out of this car if you try to. Please, just trust me. I could tell she was grappling with the idea of leaving me to do whatever mysterious thing I had planned. Still, eventually, she relented and told me to just be quick about it. I gave her a nod and told her I'd be right back. Walking up to the house felt strange. A million thoughts about who would be on the other side of that door ran through my mind. Just after the third knock, a shorter blonde woman with streaks of gray hair opened the door. Hi, Miss Turner, I'm Brandon. I wanted to talk to you about my project. She nodded and motioned for me to come in. From the moment I stepped into her home, I could feel the tension in the air. As soon as I sat down on the couch, she began to talk. I know you're not here about some project, Brandon. I was bewildered at... I need to get some damn drink. No, you're not here about some project, Brandon. I was bewildered at how she knew, and all I could do was fumble over my words, trying to keep up my charade. Honestly, it was a dumb lie to begin with. I could see her start to pour a glass of whiskey and then down it in one go. She offered me some, but I politely declined, not trusting her yet. How'd you know I was lying? Because I've dedicated so much of my fucking time to keeping an eye on every weird thing that happens at that park ever since I lost my son Daniel. When I heard about your brother going missing, I had a feeling you'd come looking for me. A lot of people come to me asking what steps to take because I've been so outspoken. Why were you so convinced that the park was responsible for taking Daniel? She laughed at my question as if it was the most ridiculous thing in the world. When kids get taken, it's almost always by someone they know. Before I moved out here, I lived my entire life in a small town with maybe 2,000 people. Never made an enemy, and I knew just about every damn person by the first name. None of them wanted to take him. You figure... Oh, my knee just cracked. That shit was loud. The first name. None of them wanted to take him. You figure out who that leaves. Crazy strangers? How would you know that the park is involved? Think about it, Brandon. A popular theme park wouldn't do everything in its power to prevent people from taking your fucking kids? Cameras, security, other people who go there for a fun time? All of that, and my kids still get snatched never to be seen again? Then they tell me they found absolutely nothing for years? How likely does that sound to you? I went silent as she continued to speak, contemplating the gravity of her words. Every single family I've talked to, every one of them said the same thing. Nobody knew they would have wanted to target them, and yet they had their kids taken without a trace. For most of them, it happened in a second. One moment they're looking at a map of the place, the next their baby is gone forever. If that doesn't sound like something's going on, then I don't know what to tell you. It sounded insane. What would a park do with kids? And how could they do that without anyone ever seeing them? It didn't make any sense. Do you think the owner is involved? I asked. I saw that you were investigating him before. Maybe he knows something? She shook her head. No, I don't think so. If anything, that park should be a burden for him. From what I've found, that place bleeds money every single year. It hasn't been profitable in decades. The man hasn't even made an appearance there since the 90s. But not only that, in one interview, he said he wished the place would just burn in a fire. I'm not sure why he chooses to keep the land, but from everything I've gathered, he's not involved. So if you had to guess, you'd say it's likely that the park has my brother somewhere? Think? No, I'm sure of it. Your brother, my son, every single kid that was stolen since the 60s. When I managed to get into one of the on-park offices, I found a list of kids' names and their favorite characters. That list didn't just include my Daniel. It included some of the poor kids that have gone missing over the decades. And some that would come to go missing in future years. If that's not damning, future years? They keep tabs on kids? Why the hell didn't you go to the police? I tried, she snapped, getting frustrated with me for not believing her. But who's going to listen to the crazy lady that broke into an amusement park? And who's going to think that she didn't just print up a list of names because she has a grudge? Look, Brandon, I know it sounds crazy, and it absolutely is, but that park is fucking evil. No one else wanted to take these kids. The last place they were seen at was Cheesy's, and Cheesy's denies having any evidence these kids were taken. Do the fucking math. Her words echoed in my ears. What she was saying couldn't be true, could it? If it was, then unfortunately, I knew exactly where to find Amari. But But the big question was why? What would the park want with a 7-year-old? And how could they have taken him without a single person noticing? I'm still curious why you'd agree to tell me all of this. And you never told me why we had to do this at your place. Because someone has to. I'm going to be honest with you, fighting that park is impossible. I've tried in every conceivable way, but the one thing I can do is bring some kind of closure. As for doing this here, there are fewer rats. With that, I nodded and walked off. I didn't feel comfortable enough to say bye because it wasn't like this was a friendly conversation. I had just learned that it was very likely my brother was taken by a park that I damn near grew up with. So many thoughts were bouncing around in my head that by the time I returned to Chloe, she could immediately tell that something was wrong. Well, you kept it under 20 minutes, which is great, but you also look like someone stole your lunch money. It's nothing, just thinking a lot. Chloe sighed. Brandon, I can tell you're hurting. I'll never know the pain you're feeling, but please talk to me. I need you to be okay. I wanted to tell her so badly, but all I could do was stare at the dashboard. At that time, I couldn't bring her or Mark into it more than I needed to. Maybe after everything was done, but things were changing every second, and this rabbit hole I was determined to descend into had gone from a mysterious place to an absolutely terrifying one. Her look of anger suddenly turned to one of concern. Please, just say something. I turned away from her, resolved to my silence. Fine, she said quietly. I know that you're scared, Brandon, but going through pain alone is the worst way to handle it. We drove back in silence. I gave a soft bye before getting out of the car and going back up to my room. My parents still hadn't come back yet, which I found odd, but worked out for me because I had one more. Before getting out of the car and going back up to my room. My parents still hadn't come back yet, which I found odd, but worked out for me because I had one more call to make, and I didn't want them to overhear me. Jose sounded half asleep when he picked up the phone. Hello? That voice was, what the fuck was that voice? That just came out of me. We gotta fix that. Jose sounded half asleep when he picked up the phone. Hello? Yo, man, it's Brandon. Brandon? Hey, I heard what happened. I'm really sorry. Don't worry about it. You were the first one to mention that kids went missing from that place. That being said, I have some questions. First, how'd you know about that place? His voice turned serious. I've always been interested in urban legends, and there wasn't a day where that place didn't give me some weird vibes. Reading about all the disappearances just confirmed things for me. What is up, Shadow Thread Stories? Joanne Lamb, hey. Reading about all the disappearances just confirmed things for me. Would you say that the park is connected to the kids disappearing? Oh, 100%. There's no way they didn't catch those kids being taken on camera. If I was a betting man, I'd say they have footage of everything going back a long time. This piqued my interest. That's interesting. So if someone could get that footage, then they could expose everything, right? Hypothetically, yes. But you're not hacking into the computers from the outside. I know that for a fact. And you're not... Okay, let's see. I know that for a fact. But you're not hacking into the computers from the outside. I know that for a fact. And you're not going to get remotely close enough in the day to look through their files. So what could someone hypothetically do? Well, what you would have to do that might work is physically putting in a flash drive with spyware so that you could have access to everything. And that involves a bit of breaking and entering. I might know someone who can help with that. The only issue is that I don't have a flash drive with spyware. And that's where I could help you out, buddy. Meet me after class tomorrow, and I'll let you have something. Oh, man, I really wish I took a look through this before we started reading it the other day, because this is like the perfect story to have collabs, because there's so much dialogue in this. And it's like I missed such a good opportunity to collab with some people on it. Give me, 3 minutes, guys. I'm going to just grab a drink. While I'm gone, I'll just play the story from the beginning so y'all have something to listen to, but I'll be right back. Cheesy's World, where a kid's happiness is guaranteed. Well, that's how the slogan went back when I was a teenager, anyway. I know what you're thinking. Cheesy's World? Isn't that a ripoff of? And you would be right if it reminded you of several places. If you ever had the displeasure of visiting while it was still running, you'd see that the park was largely inspired by multiple mainstream amusement parks and arcades. Were the owners of the place teetering precariously on a razor-thin line that would undoubtedly lead to a mountain of lawsuits? Of course. But when you're young, you don't think about those things, especially when those mainstream places aren't anywhere near you and nobody has the money or the time to take you there. In our sleepy small town, separated by miles of forest from our sister cities, not much went on. Our best bet at entertainment was to go on a hike or visit the one mall and movie theater we had. The park, however, was situated in the middle of multiple sparsely populated counties. It was almost like a hub of entertainment for us. Even though individually none of the surrounding regions could get many people in one place, people showed up at the park. As a result, the place was always packed. Whatever issues there were with Cheesy's, at the end of the day, it was ours. That said, my brother Amari and I practically bounced off the walls the night our parents presented us with tickets to Cheesy's World for Amari's 7th birthday. I was excited to relive the rides, and he couldn't wait to meet his favorite characters. For some context, the amusement park's theme was centered around Cheesy and his band of friends. Cheesy, the pizza-loving, adventurous, upbeat mouse, was the face of the main cast, and he was always accompanied by his 3 best friends, Ronald the rabbit, Dizzy the dog, and Nina the duck. Again, clear rip-offs of other well-known characters. I get it, and as a 17-year-old at the time, these parallels weren't lost on me, but they were the closest I'd ever get to the real thing, so I honestly didn't care. "Cheesy's World!" Amari screeched, barreling towards my dad for a hug. "Thank you, thank you, thank you!" "Don't mention it," my dad said with a wide smile. "You boys have been keeping up with your homework, staying out of trouble, and keeping your rooms clean, so think of it as a little reward." He winked and walked upstairs, leaving us to our own emotions. Unable to contain himself, Amari took off toward his room and started playing some of Cheesy's classic songs he found online. Usually the loud singing would have annoyed me, but seeing him happy put me in a good mood. I felt the immediate need to video chat my best friends, Chloe and Mark, and rub my soon-to-be amazing trip in their faces. "Wow, that's awesome! I always wanted to go to Cheesy's when I was a kid," Chloe gushed. "My dad never took us." Mark cut in with an exasperated sigh. "You're seriously getting excited over going to a kid's amusement park? Brandon, you're 17. You should be getting excited over getting drunk at some girl's house, not meeting old guys in smelly costumes." Chloe took offense to the statement. "Well, maybe he can enjoy things that don't get him kicked out into the street with no way at home at 3 a.m. Mark laughed. "Oh, yeah. I didn't have my car back then. Thanks for taking me home, Chloe." "No problem, Mark. Someone has to be the hero, right? Point is, I think it's great that Brandon gets to do something fun. And it's not like he has to hang out with the characters all day. They do have some pretty amazing rides from what I've heard." I nodded. "Hell yeah. Rides, surprisingly cheap amusement park snacks, their world-renowned pizza, and an arcade that I'm gonna definitely clean out. It's gonna be a great day." "Just don't forget that it's your brother's weekend," Chloe said. "I know you want to have fun, and you should, but please try your best to make sure that he comes home first, even if he wants to do all the boring kid stuff." Mark couldn't refrain from taking another shot at the park. "It's all boring kid stuff, Chloe. Trust me. When I worked there over the summer, it wasn't as happy and fun as they lead you to believe. Working the rides especially sucked. Definitely not worth the half-hour drive." I rolled my eyes. I'm back, everybody. All right, let's see. Thank you for bearing with me there for a second. Let's see. Had to grab me a drink. Had to check on my baby girl. And just listen to this. Listen to this. Listen to this soda can. Didn't that sound so nice? I love it. All right, let's see. Oh man, I love soda, guys. I'm sorry. Ooh, yeah, man. Where are we at? And I'll let you have something. I'll let you have something. Meet me after class tomorrow, and I'll let you have something. I really wanted to ask why Jose had a flash drive with spyware on it, but figured it'd be best to leave it alone. The most important thing to do now? No. The most important thing was that now I had a plan. Spyware on it, but figured it'd be best to leave it alone. The most important thing was that now I had a plan. I'd go to the park, find the security office, use my lock-picking skills to get in, install the spyware, and then prove that those bastards took my brother. I texted Miss Turner and asked her how she managed to get into Cheesy's. She had a few questions about my intentions, but didn't push too hard when I gave her soft answers about just being curious. Once I had a basic understanding of what to do, there was one final thing to take care of. I came downstairs, nearly killing myself when I was caught off guard by a scurrying rat that I later captured and put outside. I looked outside to see that my parents had returned and that their car was parked out front. To that point, I was still resolved to see Mark and Chloe out of this, but I didn't want to. I was still resolved to see Mark and Chloe out of this, and I didn't want to ask anyone else to drive me. But if I could take the car while they were asleep, I wouldn't need to. I knew I would be a few hours, but it shouldn't have mattered if I left late enough. Everything seemed to be coming together perfectly. I went to bed resolved with what to do. The next day was pretty average, save for Chloe being unusually quiet when she hung around me. Mark tried to pry for info, but she kept telling both of us that she was fine. He suggested that we go somewhere after class to cheer her up, but I shot down the idea of telling them that I had homework to do. Once class ended, I met up with Jose, and he gave me the flash drive. He made it a point to stress that once I put it into securities... I met up with Jose, and he gave me the flash drive. He made it a point to stress that once I put it into security's computer, I'd need to log in as a guest and open up the program. He claimed that the program should run whenever someone logs in on their personal account. From there, Jose would have remote access and all the information, all the password information. Let me move around a little bit, get a little more comfy. I do. I love the comments. I love that there's some chat going on, Frankie and Cisco. And it helps. I noticed when I did the first live read the other day, it actually helps me as the narrator to take these like quick little breaks. Like normally when I narrate by myself, it gets pretty boring, and I'm just like sitting here. It's just me talking to nobody. Just talking into the microphone, looking at the computer. And I noticed the other day when I was reading, I was like, wow, we did like 35 minutes, like pretty seamlessly. Didn't even feel like it went that long. And now we've been doing this for 40 minutes, and it's been pretty nice. It's been fun. Makes it a lot more fun to do. I think also recording like this will let me record for longer stretches at a time. Because normally sometimes I thank you Cisco, for the $2 super chat. That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. It is recording like this lets me go for like a longer stretch. Like this is gonna be like a 2-hour story, and if we can get somewhat to the super chat goal or make the super chat goal, I'll record the whole story before I log off tonight, as long as there's no internet problems. And yeah, recording with y'all here seems like so much easier. Like I said, like I'm not alone. Where are we? Personal account. And it also it motivates me to just to keep going. When normally I record, oh hey, 20 minutes here, 30 minutes, play some video games, 30 minutes, take the dog out, 20 minutes, do something else. But this is easier to just record straight up for an hour or two at a time. Run whenever someone logs in on their personal account. From there, Jose would have remote access and all of the password information. For him, having access to this info was payment enough for giving me the flash drive. Now I had spyware, a means of transportation, and the knowledge of how to get into the park. All I needed was patience. I waited until roughly 1 a.m. before making my move. Donning all black, complete with the bandana wrapped around the lower half of my face, I grabbed my old lock-picking tools and I was ready to go. I made sure my parents were fast asleep before hopping into my dad's car. As I turned the keys in the ignition, I took a deep breath and tried to center myself. When I turned off my phone before taking... I took a deep breath and tried to center myself. When I turned off my phone before taking off so that it wouldn't buzz and give away my location, I noticed a text message. Okay, that's why it said the sentence sounded funny, but then it makes sense at the end. I have a cousin named Jose. Gotta ask him about this. Give away my location. I noticed a text message. Hey, I don't know if you're up, but I can't sleep. You doing okay? Chloe. It killed me to silence my phone and ignore the message, but I knew that it would be worth it once this was all over. Amari would be back and I'd be more than okay. I'd be whole once again. I took off towards the park with a single goal in mind, which was to get Amari back home at all costs. I think I zoned out on the drive over because I didn't feel like I was consciously doing it. I just kind of floated towards the general direction of the park. My mind was devoid of thought. It was just me and the dark road that was simply a pathway to Amari. But once I had passed the sign with cheesy smiling face welcoming you to the park over that stupid fucking slogan, I knew this was it. This was when my life could finally start to be normal again. Instead of pulling into the parking lot, I parked just off the Parkus. I saw Park and Campus and I said Parkus. Let's see. Let's go back. I pulled off the parking lot. Instead of pulling into the parking lot, where's that at? Okay, I'll just redo. You live, bro. What up, playa? What up, motivator? Let's see. Pennsylvania, USA. Tell me, Frankie, how do you like Pennsylvania? I live in Virginia. I have like this romanticized idea of Pennsylvania for some reason in my head. So one, I love, I love snow. Virginia is very hit or miss with snow. Like, sometimes we have, sometimes we get like 6 inches in a whole year, and then sometimes we get like 18. Pretty rare, but I want to live in Pennsylvania so bad because it has like this like sprawling, nice countryside. slight rolling hills and so much fucking snow. Whenever I see a snowstorm that comes through, it's like, it's coming through Virginia, and then it's like, oh, it goes up north. Oh, barely missed. We were going to get a foot, and now we got 2 inches, and Pennsylvania got 1.5 feet. And I'm like, come on, really? But, snow can suck, too. I know, I mentioned this in the last live stream. Half my family is Native American, from Canada. And I love going up there during the winter because the snow is crazy. I remember, so this is a little bit of a crazy story. My cousin, it's almost impossible to get guns in Canada, like unless you live on like a fucking farm or a ranch somewhere. But my cousin, not involved in anything crazy. It was some like weird bar fight, I think. He pissed the wrong person off or something, and he got shot. He's fine now, but he got shot in the head with a .22 pistol like 3 times. Super, super scary, critical for a long time. But we heard about it. This was sometime in like February, I think. This was like 6 years. It was like 6 years ago when I don't know if y'all remember the hype about the polar vortex that we had like never seen before was hitting the States, where it was getting like crazy, crazy cold with that jet stream that went through. Wind super high. And we went there in the middle of the polar vortex when it was snowing like crazy. And they live in like Hamilton, Ontario. So it's like right across the New York border. And it was nuts because we got there and we get into a restaurant and it like just starts snowing. And then by the time we're done eating, after like an hour and a half, there's like fucking 8 inches of snow on the parking lots and the roads, which in Virginia, 2 inches of snow will like shut shit down. Like people go home, people send you home from work early, they want you off the streets. And I was just amazed at Canada, how that much snow falls and nobody blinks an eye, and like everyone has their own personal little mini excavators and like snow blowers getting the sidewalks and stuff. It's like a completely different world. I remember, I got a memory when I was like 8 years old, we went up to Canada, and the snowflakes were so big that we were outside having like a snowball fight or something, me and my siblings, and a snowflake so fucking big hit me in the ear. I thought someone threw a snowball at my face, and I looked over and no one was there. And I was like, what the hell? Was that seriously a snowflake that just hit me that hard? Instead of... All right, let's see. Where are we? To be normal again. And, like I said, my cousin's fine. He's good. He is good. It's crazy though. When we went up there, how dilapidated some of the hospitals looked. Because when you look at a hospital in the States, everything is like luxury. It's all a money scam. But and then we get there in like the waiting room in Canada, and they have a fucking VHS player and like a fucking tube TV, and I was like, this is nuts. When you go to a hospital down here, they got like fucking nice ass sofas and recliners and shit. All right. My life could finally start to be normal again. Instead of pulling into the parking lot, I parked just off the park's campus at a near 24-hour convenience store and made the walk over. I could feel my heartbeat ring in my ears as I made the silent walk through the parking lot. The ominous atmosphere and knowledge of what I was planning to do made every step towards the park feel like I was walking towards a terrifying fate. I couldn't describe it at the time, but from everything I had learned until that point, the place just seemed off. I knew that I was afraid. My own fear of breaking into a beloved park was to be expected. And if it was true that they were holding kids captive, then of course that was another concern. But beyond that, there was something else. Something was tickling the primal part of my brain, flashing signals that everything went so much deeper than I could ever understand. But whatever I was feeling had to wait as I walked up to those gates. I could see a large number of rats crawling out from under the entrance, which caused me to jump back in surprise. Feeling down the cold steel, I attempted to jingle the entrance open just in case. I noticed the electric keypad lock and knew that I had to resort to the actual plan. Looking over to my left, I saw that there was a set of bushes. Let me get a drink. I knew that I had to resort to the actual plan. Fuck, where is that at? Where's that space? What? Oh, okay. I knew that I had to resort to the actual plan. Looking over to my left, I saw that there was a set of bushes flanking the gates. From what Miss Turner had told me, kids used to climb under those bushes to gain access into the park, but they had since installed sheets of wood to block the crawl space. Of course, with the park operating in the red, these sheets weren't exactly the most expensive or durable and could easily be kicked out. Normally, it'd be a struggle to do this because I'd be noticed pretty quickly, but with no one there, it took only a few hard kicks to the wood for me to break it down. Once it was out of the way, I was able to army crawl under the bushes and into the second park checkpoint. There it was as simple as hopping a turnstile and strolling into the park. I had actually managed to make it inside. Even though I had done what I thought would be the most challenging part, it felt wrong. There was no security at the front, and I didn't see any flashlights in the distance. I assumed I'd have to be ducking and dodging a lot, but the place almost looked abandoned. Could they really be struggling so much that they couldn't afford security guards? Regardless of how much money they were bleeding, protecting your property is a necessity. So why wasn't this more challenging? As I made my way through the park, I stopped a few times to marvel at what the place looked like wholly shut down. Looking for the security office was difficult. I had only been to that office once, and I wasn't in the right frame of mind to commit the path to memory. Eventually, I conceded that I was lost and was going to resort to using the park's online map to find where I was. Maybe I could even find a landmark to locate the general area of the office. No sooner had I pulled out my phone did I hear the very distinct sound of a can being kicked in the distance. I immediately scanned the area, but saw no flashlights and heard no voices. Logically, it made sense to assume it was an animal, but in the back of my mind, something was screaming that was the wrong assumption. I continued to scan the area, and to my horror, what I saw confirmed every dark fear I had about this place. Standing in the distance and clearly facing in my direction was Ronald. He was softly illuminated under a dim pathway light so I couldn't get a good look. But what I saw unnerved me to my core. His suit was absolutely filthy, and his ordinarily perky ears hung low. Parts of his costume were in various states of decay, and he stood hunched forward with his arms dangling lazily in front of him. For a second, neither of us moved. But then in an instant he charged, and I screamed out, "Oh shit!" and hauled ass out of there. I didn't know where he was going, but anywhere was better than there. I could hear his footsteps quickly gaining on me, for as clumsy as I thought the costume would make him, he was coming at me like an Olympic sprinter. I knew that I'd have no chance to outrun him and that my only real option was to hide. I dove toward... That's not a word. No chance to outrun him and that my only real option was to hide. I dove towards the crazy mouse roller coaster and hid amongst the support structure, making sure to keep absolutely still against one of the beams as he raced past me. Millions of thoughts were firing in my head. Before I had even a second to process them, I looked up and saw Nina impossibly contorting her body to clutch onto the horizontal beams around her. She, too, was twisted. She was twice her regular size, and her beak was missing. In its place was a large, open hole in the shape of a smile with a few human teeth embedded around the hole's borders. Her costume was also rotting away, and in place of her pom-poms were human-like hands with disturbingly long fingers that each seemed to have more fingers growing around them. I fucked that up, and it's a long sentence. No. I don't want to redo that. I mean, it kind of makes sense still. Human-like hands with disturbed seem to have more fingers growing around them. I'll redo it. In place of her pom-poms were human-like hands. Ah, fuck, I lost the spot. In place of her pom-poms were human-like hands with disturbingly long fingers that each seemed to have more... I fucked it up. In place of her pom-poms were human-like hands with disturbingly long fingers that each seemed to have more fingers growing from them. Her once sultry eyes were now bloodshot and sunken into her face. Her famous pizza shirt was gone, revealing multiple patches of missing feathers. She stared down at me like a spider examining its prey, and I could see drips of saliva flowing freely from her mouth. As soon as we made eye contact, she descended upon me with lightning speed. I ran into the darkness, not caring where I ended up. For a brief moment, I looked back and saw that she was running on all fours, easily climbing over all obstacles in her path. Not only did I have to worry about Nina, but Ronald was still lurking in the darkness, and I had nothing to defend myself with. For a moment, I thought that she would surely catch me as I had no place to go, but by sheer luck, I spotted the haunted estate ride and figured I could at least hide in there briefly and come up with a plan to escape. But as I made a beeline towards the ride, something grabbed my ankle and pushed me to the ground. Before I knew it, I was being dragged behind a patch of bushes, and I could only look up in horror to meet my captor's eyes. Dizzy was looking down at me, his long, freezing cold fingers wrapped all the way around my head, and he made sure to keep pressure to make it enough pressure. Only look up in horror to meet my captor's eyes. Dizzy was looking down at me, his long, freezing cold fingers wrapped all the way around my head, and he made sure to keep enough pressure to make it painful. As expected, he also looked to be in a state of disarray. His muzzle hung like a deflated balloon, and his straw hat had numerous holes in on top of it. On top. Damn, I just cannot read right now. He also looked to be in a state of disarray. His muzzle hung like a deflated balloon, and his straw hat had numerous holes in it on top of his overall look of rot. I could see chunks of his costume missing in random sections, and parts of the costume seemed to hang like loose skin. Using his other hand, he reached into my pocket and pulled out the flash drive and crushed it in one motion. Then he pulled out my lock-picking kit and flung it far from where he had me pinned. He raised a long finger to the end of his drooping mouth and made a silence motion before getting me to my feet and looking around. He stood much taller than he usually did. Last time I saw him, he was around my height at 6 feet, but this version easily stood a foot taller than me, and his arms hung low to his feet. I was in utter shock, and sweat was pouring down my face. Here before me was this monster, and I didn't know if I could run, fight, or reason with it. But it didn't matter, because I didn't even get to choose. In the blink of an eye, he reached out to grab me and shoved me into his body through a partially open slit in the suit. In my mind, I was dead. It was pitch black and freezing inside the costume. Something was hard and small in my back, and I could feel little bug-like things crawling around me. If it wasn't for my mask, they definitely would have invaded my mouth. But did it matter? I had been caught. My flash drive was destroyed, and I couldn't even make it to the security office. On top of it all, I was going to die at the hands of some otherworldly creature just because I wanted to see my little brother again. Tears began to flow liberally as I slowly resigned myself to my horrible fate. Thoughts about everything leading up to that point raided my mind. Despite every shitty thought that permeated my mind, the ones that stood out were of my friends and family. Mark, Chloe, my parents, and most of all, Amari. I'd never see them again. And why? Because I was afraid to ask for help? Because I felt that I could deal with something that I obviously didn't even understand? The least I could have done was be honest. I could have said goodbye or I love you. They'd at least have that closure of knowing how much I cared about them. And now, this was my punishment. I was in there for what felt like hours. But to my surprise, I could feel a set of cold, bony hands wrap around my body and rip me from the inside of my captor. I was back outside the park. Dizzy stood over me, and I could see numerous roaches crawling in and out of the slit that I had assumed to be my tomb. I scrambled to my feet, but he didn't move. He pointed towards the street in what I could only think was his way of telling me to go. I could see Ronald and Nina in the distance making their way towards us, and to my horror, they had brought company. Numerous other deformed characters were following them, peeking out of the darkness and descending on me. Even though I was in the parking lot, I knew I wouldn't be safe until I was completely off campus. I didn't know whether Dizzy had intentionally helped me escape or if this was simply their way of warning me to stay out. Maybe it was both. But before I ran off towards the safety of my car, Dizzy began to choke out something that seemed to be akin to his version of speech.
Brother, not safe here. Deep soon.
I don't know. Maybe you should do more of a different voice. 'Cause that's obviously Amari, I think. Brother, I mean, it's like a fucked up, crazy sounding voice, but it's coming from an 8-year-old. Maybe I should, I don't know, let's see. Maybe I should do something like, I haven't done this in a while. Where the hell is it? Oh yeah, reverb. Doi. Fuck. Where is it? Damn. Come on, Kevin. Fading. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Where? There we go.
Brother. Brother. Not safe.
Let's see. Let me try it. Oh, where the hell's my headphones? Something that seemed to be akin to his version of speech. Brother, not safe here. Deep, soon. Go. All right. Go back. Special. All right, reverse. Ow, 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 my head. Maybe even change the pitch a little bit. Brother, not safe here. Deep, soon. Go. Yeah, that could work, I guess. Why not? Soon. Go. What the fuck? I thought. I didn't have time to contemplate what he meant. I simply ran and didn't look back until I was in the car and already speeding back home. I only stopped after I had been driving for half an hour. Finally, I pulled over to cry. It was hitting me all at once. This went so much deeper than I could have ever imagined. It was far more than I could have bargained for, and I had no idea where to even start. I pulled out my phone to check the time, and the first thing I saw were numerous missed calls and texts from my parents, asking where I was and why the car was missing. Shit! I yelled, slamming my fist on the dashboard. Let me crack my neck. There we go. If I forget, remind me if he talks again, I need to do those same effects. I might forget. I yelled, slamming my fist on the dashboard. I took off towards home, knowing that a storm was waiting as soon as I pulled up. And that's precisely what it was. A couple of police officers were parked outside of my house, standing with my parents outside. I knew I was in a world of trouble. My whole world was about to come crashing down for the second time in one night. They absolutely tore into me. Though I left out that I was at the park, I tried to explain that I was looking out for Amari, but they were livid. I wanted my parents to understand that I had done this for the right reasons. I wanted them to know that I was trying to cope with it the best I could, and that the reason I was out there was the same reason they had been away so much. We were all out there searching. I knew at the end of the day they needed me to be safe. And how could I fight them on that? Especially right after losing one of their kids. I was told that I could no longer go out late or use the car. My grades had to be absolutely perfect from here on out, and that I shouldn't make any plans for summer because I was getting a job. I lost in a lot of ways that night. But this felt the most deflating. All I could do was nod and walk up those steps without saying another word. That night, vivid images of those creatures hurting me down made for the hunting those steps without saying another word. That night, vivid images of those creatures hunting me down made for the most terrifying sleep I've ever had. Despite the trauma that would burn horrible memories into my psyche for years to come, it wasn't the creatures or my parents yelling at me that I was focused on that night. No. As I drifted off to sleep, the thought at the forefront of my mind was that as Dizzy stood over me, his name tag no longer said, "Your pal, Dizzy the dog." It clearly read, "Your pal, Daniel." As I was putting on my clothes to get ready for school, I grabbed the pair of jeans I had worn the night before. On inspecting my pockets for my house keys, I found a small piece of paper wrapped around something solid. Opening it up revealed the words "Underplace 33" and a set of small keys. What the hell? I thought. Underplace? Did Dizzy do this? This was definitely a mystery for later, but for now, I had to get to class. The first thing I made sure to do when I got to school was to look for Jose and tell him that he wouldn't be getting his flash drive back. He said it was okay, that if anything, he was fascinated by what happened to me. We agreed to talk about things more in-depth after school, but for now, we'd just go to class. What I was most concerned with that day was how I'd tell Mark and Chloe about what happened. At first, I didn't know how I'd bring it up, but they brought up the subject at lunch. "Zachary, thanks for hanging out, man. I appreciate you hanging out here. You have a good night, brother." But they brought up the subject at lunch. "Dude," Mark said with a look of concern, "Kristen Georges mentioned how there were police officers at your house at like 4 a.m. What the hell was going on? Don't give us some bullshit about how everything is fine, because clearly it's not." "Brandon, you've been acting so strange lately." Chloe reached out to touch my arm. "You need to tell us what's happening, because if you're in trouble, we want to help." There wasn't any escaping this conversation, and I knew I owed them the truth. They deserved the truth. I told them everything from Miss Turner and the missing kids, to the break-in, to the abominations that chased me down at the park and what Dizzy left me. I couldn't tell if they really believed me. Chloe and Mark just stared in awe. I couldn't tell if they really believed me. Chloe and Mark just stared in awe at the insanity of it all. "Brandon, this is so..." Chloe began to talk. "Fucked," Mark cut in. "Yeah. I may not really understand any of this, but we're here with you either way. I can't even imagine how terrifying this must all be." "You mentioned that Dizzy gave you keys," Mark asked. "Do you think I could see them really quickly?" I reached into my backpack and handed them over for Mark to inspect. Damn, I don't remember that. I don't remember that part. Ah, shit. Let's see. quick little intermission here. Get a little bit of chit chat if anybody wants to talk. I think also, guys, because I'm trying to give more incentive on getting people to become Patreon members. I want more. I want to give people more value. So a lot of my like personal written stories are gonna go to Patreon from now on. Like I think like they'll all stay on YouTube, but the new ones, like I think Dealmaker might move over to Patreon. Maybe to YouTube members, but you know, YouTube takes like fucking 40% of your membership revenue. Is kind of crazy. But we got, you know, the Dealmaker, probably the Cryptid Delivery Guy, maybe the Cryptid Hunter. That the ones that will stay on YouTube, I think, are going to be the Afterlife Hotline. I'm going to keep uploading those to YouTube because I really, really love writing the Afterlife Hotline stories. And I read the comments. They help a lot with people's grief. Because I write those because I have some grief in my life that I've dealt with, from the past couple of years, some, family stuff. So I write those to give myself even, some closure in a sense. And the Afterlife Hotline gets some of the best comments on like how it helped people. This meant a lot to me. So I'm going to keep uploading those to YouTube because I know those actually help people. I still haven't written it yet, but what is it? There's one more installment to my Hell's series. I collect souls for the devil. There's one more installment, so that will of course be on YouTube. I have to. He's got one soul left to collect. I have to figure out how to write it, how to make it good, and how to really. It's just long ass. There's like 10 or 12 of those on the channel. So I got to figure out a fitting way to close that out too. Let's see. What's another one that's going to stay? Elijah Mandrake might stay on YouTube. I think it will. Joey, there's a guy on the channel, Joey. He's one of the biggest supporters on the channel. He sent me multiple PayPal donations. Joey, super cool guy. He's a veteran. You can thank if you like the Elijah Mandrake series and you like Candy in there. Candy. So Joey commissioned me. I was writing the Elijah stories, and Joey commissioned me. He said through Patreon. He's a Patreon and a YouTube member, and he asked me, can I write his dog he had a service dog that's passed away, and he asked me if I could write her into any story. And I was like, yeah, I would love to do that, man. That'd be awesome. He told me how she was a service dog and how she helped him through a whole lot of stuff. Naomi, you're in here. What is up, Naomi? I will give, if I remember after this, I will give a very quick, brief summary of Cheesy's world so far. But Joey told me about his dog, and I said I would absolutely love to write your dog in there. Send me descriptions of her, tell me her personality and stuff like that. And he sent me a very generous $150 donation, and he's made multiple donations since then. Joey is he's one of the only reasons why I have so many Elijah Mandrake installments. There's like 4 or 5 now, and they're all long too, because Joey sends me a donation, and then I can actually take time off of work, and I sit down and write specifically through Joey's support. So he's an awesome guy. I think there's 5 Elijah stories. Maybe there's 4. And Candy is in all of them now, so you can thank him for Elijah having a new best friend. Um, yeah, collect souls. There's one more installment. I don't want to give it away on what I'm gonna do, but it's hard to wrap a series up like that. I don't even want to say goodbye to it because I love it so much. What other ones? I have one that I just wrote the other day that I'm going to be narrating and putting on Patreon hopefully in the next couple days. It is about these robots that are in a post-apocalyptic world, and they're exploring the world, and then they come across a group of humans at the end, and they haven't seen humans in like hundreds of years. That was a fun one. So far, anyone that's joined or come in and out, this story is about it's about a family who went to Cheesy's World, which is a ripoff of, I don't even know if it's a ripoff of Chuck E. Cheese or Disney World or something, but I thought it was Chuck E. Cheese at first, but now it's like a natural amusement park, so I guess it might be Disney World. Chuck E. Cheese is where a kid can be a kid. Let's see. They go to this amusement park, and the young brother, the 8-year-old, just straight up disappears. And then it kind of does have this like Five Nights at Freddy thing. So now the older brother, Brandon, keeps trying to sneak in. Well, the first time he snuck into the park, and he got just absolutely like mollywomped by all these fucking weird ass, probably like, possessed mascots. All right, let's see. Let's pick up. I can hand them over for Mark to inspect. Where are we at? Mark to inspect. Let me fix the microphone. I'm like, let's see. There we go. Reached into my backpack and handed them over for Mark to inspect. These look like keys we'd use to operate the rides, but what would he give you those for? I don't know, but it doesn't matter because I probably won't be allowed out of the house for a while. Which, by the way, Chloe, I don't think I'll be able to make it to the party on Friday. It's okay. The important thing here is that there's obviously something going on. Whatever it is, those creatures seem dead set on not letting you find out what it was. But why would Dizzy let him go then? If what the park is hiding is so bad, then why not just kill Brandon while he was there? Who knows? Maybe they don't all agree with how the park is run, or maybe some of them have some humanity in them. A few minutes before the bell rang, we agreed to briefly meet up with Jose after class. After our classes ended for the day, we grabbed a library conference room and I showed him the note. Under place 33? Jose thought for a moment, but then shook his head. Nah, no idea. How do you guys know this isn't a trap? I took the note back and shoved it into my backpack. Why would they trap me when I was already captured? Dizzy could have given me to Ronald or Nina or killed me himself. Instead, he let me go. Look, the note is obviously referring to something underground. Maybe under the park, like a ride that takes you underground? Jose thought again. Maybe it's referencing the catacombs. The original creators of Cheesies really wanted to do their best to emulate other parks. Legend has it, they even included their own underground system for the workers. Maybe that's what it's referring to? Chloe crossed her arms and thought before turning to Mark. Mark, you worked there, right? Do you know anything about catacombs? Yeah, but from what I know, they were only really used during the park's heyday. In modern times, they've had to downsize staff a lot, so the employee tunnels weren't really used. The most legitimate thing I've heard about them is that maintenance used them to keep supplies. Okay, well, that's a start, at least. I looked down at the note on the table. It makes the most sense, right? But what about 33? To this, both Mark and Jose were stumped. 33 didn't register against... Both Mark and Jose were stumped. 33 didn't register as anything of significance to either of them, no matter what I tried to connect it to. After banging our heads against the wall for half an hour, We had to pivot back to the catacombs. Okay, so in theory, how would I get down there? I asked Jose. We, Chloe stated. If you're going, Mark and I are coming with you. Wait, Mark is going with who to where? Mark said softly. We can, talk about that, right? Chloe gave Mark a look that could turn Medusa to stone, and he quickly reneged on his statement. Chloe, I'm not going to argue this. You guys can only help me to a certain point. I'm not going to argue it either. You literally almost died last time. Let us help you and... Guys, Jose cut in. Maybe before you decide who goes where, you should figure out where you're even going? Right. I looked around the room expectantly. So, how do we get in? Jose shouted. Oh, easy. There was a rumor about being able to access it through the Blackbeard Adventure water ride. Supposedly, if you get off at the part where Blackbeard's sitting in his chair surrounded by his treasure, there's a secret door behind him. That must be what the keys are for, Mark replied. Just give me a second. Let me take a little break here, guys. My throat a little bit. Let's see. Oh, look at that. We are past the 2-hour mark. Past the 2-hour mark. Hit the goal 2 out of 10. Okay. All right, let's see. How much story is left? That's about... Yeah, Jarhead. True. I don't want to pre-record the story. Well, because the only reason why I'm doing a live to begin with is to give people a raw, real live reading. And pre-recording it just sounds like so fake and just seems so like, just so, I don't know, it feels like lying almost. So, and yeah, this is just, plus I'm readjusting, because, it's, try to, sit down and read for an hour and a half and, it gets a little, you got to take little breaks here and there every now and then. So yeah, the point of the live is to do a raw reading. Some people like to see, how the cheese is made, how the sausage is made. And, yeah, let's see, where are we at? There's a secret door behind him. Surrounded by his treasure? There's a secret door behind him. That must be what the keys are for, Mark replied enthusiastically. If you can start up the ride, then you should be able to get to it. Sounds like we have a plan, then. Jose, is there any way you could help us to get to the catacombs? He laughed. Fuck no. I'll stick to reading creepy stories on the internet. But you guys feel free to live your best lives. Well, at least as long as you're alive. Chloe rolled her eyes. Anyway, one problem. Our happy, fuzzy buddies? They'd probably be crawling all over the place, and who knows what's hanging out inside those rides? She had a point. If I couldn't make it to the security office, what were the odds that I could get to the Blackbeard ride and make it to the catacombs? And if I did, who was to say that they wouldn't be waiting for me down there? Jose told us, Who was to say that they wouldn't be waiting for me down there? Jose told us he needed to study but wished us luck, and we concluded our meeting with that. We had made progress, but I knew that I needed to talk to Miss Turner. Mark dropped me off at home, and I immediately went up to my room to call her. Hello? The familiar voice picked up on the other end. Hey, Miss Turner, it's Brandon again. I went back to the park, and I saw something that I think you should know about. I proceeded to tell her about the events of that night, and most importantly, about how I think I found her son. Or what remained of them. Of him, my bad. about how I think I found her son. Or whatever remained of him. I'm really sorry, Miss Turner. No, don't be. You found him. Thank you. Even though I found him like that? Whatever remains is what remains. But that's my journey to deal with. What you've told me just strengthens how I felt. That place is pure evil. Nothing about it can remain. And that means what exactly? I asked. Doesn't matter yet. Did you find anything else? When Dizzy, or Daniel, grabbed me, he put something in my pocket. It turned out to be a note with the words "under place" and 2 keys that go to the ride control panel. I think that he wants me to go to the catacombs, but I'm not sure what I'll find there. So, when are you going back? I don't know. My parents aren't too happy at me for sneaking out, so I'm not sure when I can safely leave the house again. Brandon... Oh, no, I don't know why I said it like that. Ooh, sun balloon. Thank you. That's a cute little balloon. When I can safely leave the house again. Brandon! The way she raised her voice caught me off guard for a moment. This is a hell of a lot bigger than your parents grounding you. Your brother and countless other kids are at stake. She was right. Even though I was scared of what my parents would do to me, I was terrified of what that park would do to Amari. The truth was, I didn't know if I could save him, but I had to do everything I could to try and get him back. I asked her if we could meet at a local restaurant to talk about it in person, and she agreed. I let Mark and Chloe know about my plans and decided to let them tag along. After class the next day, we drove over to the agreed-upon spot and caught her smoking a cigarette in the parking lot in front of her car. As soon as she saw us, she promptly stopped it out. Her smoking a cigarette in the Diet Coke. Her smoking a cigarette in the parking lot in front of her car. As soon as she saw us, she promptly stomped it out and made a remark about how weird it felt to be talking to teenagers. To be fair, the feeling was very mutual, but we both knew that we had a goal that could only be accomplished together. With the somewhat awkward greeting out of the way, she got down to the real reason we were there. When are you going back? The answer was clear, no matter how I felt about it or how absolutely terrified I was. I have to. Good, Miss Turner said with no emotion. And your friends? Chloe didn't hesitate to answer. Yes, we're going with him. Okay, time out, Mark interjected. Can we talk about this? Like, all of this? Isn't this more of a job you do for the police? And how do we know that those people were really monsters or whatever you want to call them? What if the park just fucks with people? I rolled my eyes. Mark, what cop is going to believe that I saw what I saw there? And you think they'd do all of this to mess with people on the rare chance someone breaks in? I was in the costume, man. In the costume. There literally wasn't a person in there to fuck with me. Look, I don't know, man. I really don't. What if we just told the cops that something was going down at the park? They'd come and investigate and everything is fine. Miss Turner cut in. I doubt those things are going to let any cops see them. Besides, even if they did, they'd probably just think they were employees. It wouldn't prompt any investigation. Okay, then how about this? Mark began to retort. How do I know that this isn't all crazy bullshit? Guys, we're talking about breaking and entering. Brandon, you're my bro, and I do want to believe you. But this is all just seems so crazy. How do I know for a fact that this isn't just some story to get revenge on a park that you think took Amari? He had a point. I had no proof of what I saw, and there was definitely a motive for me to try and do some damage by any means necessary. I stepped forward. You don't know. You can't see it for yourself. You can't until. You don't know. And you... Oh, fuck. Sorry. I stepped forward. You don't know. You can't until you see it for yourself. And frankly, I don't want you guys to see what I saw. So here's the deal. You both have an out. I don't want you there with me, and if either of you don't want to be there, don't come. Simple as that. I'd be more than happy to let you be safe. As expected, they took some time to weigh the heavy consequences of their decisions. But after a few moments of silence, they looked at each other and nodded. We're here for you, man. All the way. So, what's the plan, then? No sooner had she asked that question had Miss Turner spotted a rat circling her foot. She yelped in surprise and immediately told us all to go home and we'd discuss the plan later. Confused, we watched... Immediately told us all to go home and we'd discuss the plan later. Confused, we watched her run to her car and speed off without so much as a goodbye. She's an odd lady, Chloe mentioned. She definitely doesn't inspire any kind of confidence for whatever we end up doing, Mark added. I agreed, but she also had the best knowledge of the park. She could potentially give us access to the resources we weren't likely to get by ourselves. She had been in this for far longer than any of us had, and it didn't feel right to take the personal stakes she had away from her. All right, everybody. Nikki, shalom, brother. Man, you hopped in, I think, right when I'm about to close it up. Right when I'm thinking... We've been going for over 2 hours now, and we started this at like 30 minutes from the first half, so we've done a whole hour of recording too. Maybe if there's anybody in the chat that wants to chat or talk or ask some questions, whatever you want to ask, it can give my voice a little bit of a break to read some comments or some super chats or something like that, and I can keep going for a little bit longer. Been deep into gardening, huh? That's nice. What do you like to... I've loved gardening and plants and everything like that ever since I was young. What do you like to do? Salute to you too, Motivator, my friend. I actually, not only do I like to garden myself, I keep fish tanks, aquariums, and one of my favorite things is underwater horticulture. Every fish tank that I've ever had has been like a complete and entire ecosystem. I keep really nice hype. Thank you, Nikki. Thank you. $4.99. I appreciate that, man. I'll stay on it for a little bit longer. That's awesome. That means a lot to me. What authors, writers inspired you to start writing and voice acting? Let's see. So, nobody in particular inspired me to start voice acting, like writer, author-wise. That's something that I've wanted to do since I was like, ever since my voice changed, really, in like the 5th grade. I wanted to be like a radio broadcaster or a sports commentator for like football or something. And finally, I just did it. The person who actually, I've been told, my entire life, you got a great voice, do something with it. And, half believed them, half didn't believe them for a long time. And then finally, I just said, you know what, fuck it. My cousin kept bugging me. My cousin's like a Christian rapper. and he had a microphone, an AT2020, and he said, Kevin, I'm tired of you putting it off. You need to start a creepypasta channel. Go ahead and do it. And he gave me one of his microphones. That's the first one I used, and then I made the channel. And I first actually made the channel without that microphone. I was talking into my phone and uploading the videos via USB, and I was uploading creepypastas. Go look at the first like 20 or 30 videos, and you'll see the huge difference. Do I like SCP lore? I love SCP stuff. I've done a couple on the channel. My audience just isn't SCP inclined, really, so anytime I put SCP in the title, it doesn't get any views, which is really unfortunate. I think SCP stuff is awesome. Do you have any collections? I don't know if that's to me or maybe Nikki. I don't have any collections of anything, really. The biggest thing you could say I collect would be, what do I collect? Nothing. I mean, I collect books, but I read books. I'll tell you, one of my favorite series of all time is the Malazan or Malazan, the Malazan Book of the Fallen. It's 10 books in the main series, and it is one of the most awesome fucking fantasy world building I've ever read. I got roses, 20 pumpkins, 20 watermelons, 5 apple trees. Oh, and 2 plum and tomatoes. Oh, plums. My dad. So I never said it in like a video or publicly, but I've interacted with some of y'all in the comments. Unfortunately, and I'm not going to turn this into a big sob thing because I don't want to kill the mood. But unfortunately, my family lost our dad October of a year and a half ago. There's not a human being I love more in the world than my father. He's the most incredible man I've ever known and ever met. And we lost him a year and a half ago, and sometimes it feels like 5 days. Sometimes it feels like 5 years. That's why a lot of the creepypastas I write are very emotionally charged for stuff like that. But he loved gardening. Every year, he'd be out there, and the man was obsessed with tomatoes, and I fucking hate tomatoes. I don't even like the smell of a tomato. A tomato touches my tongue, and it makes me want to gag. But my dad loved tomatoes, regular tomatoes, cherry tomatoes. And a couple years before he was gone, he also planted a pear tree in the backyard. I think he actually, and then he planted another one because then he found out that you need another one to properly germinate. But yeah, he was always in the garden. He loved tomatoes, loved strawberries, all that stuff. I remember when I was younger, we had an old woman. She still lives in the neighborhood. She still lives there. An older woman right across the street from us, and she had a plum tree. And when we were kids, she would let us come over there. She would either give us big Kroger bags of plums, or she would let us come over, and she would let us climb her plum tree because we were so little, and pluck some of the plums off, and they were so good. I loved them. I would love to have a plum tree. Oh, that'd be so nice. Collect music, CDs, vinyl cassettes, even some 8-tracks. That sounds pretty awesome, man. I want to buy a typewriter. But it's like, I would love to buy a typewriter because I think it's so cool. It's so romantic, to type a story by hand like that onto a piece of paper. Ka-ching, I thought about getting one on Amazon, but it's like, when you get a lot of those retro things, a lot of them are like just so cheap, even though they might be like $200 or $300 and the reviews look good, but then you find out that like, oh, it actually kind of sucks. And I'm like, maybe you got to just drop some money in for like $500 or $600 and buy like a real nice refurbished one. Are you going to do any more Judgment stories? I love that story about the thief that died and went to Judgment but was saved at the last minute. I'm trying to think, what story was that? A thief that died. Can someone refresh my memory on what that was? That might not be something I wrote. That could be something that Wound Liquor or Mark Lynch wrote. Because there is a specific story. I sat in Hell's courtroom, but I don't know how the MC died in that one. Tomatoes are the hardest thing for me to keep alive. I see why guys get good at them and just perfect it. Dude, it was crazy. Tomatoes were like the only thing that we couldn't kill at the house. I guess it's all about soil. I am so sorry to hear that for you too, Frankie. That is horrible, man. We still have mom, 58, or my mom's like 50. You know what kills me so much too, man, is my dad wasn't even 60 fucking years old. I'm like, what the fuck? What fucking bullshit is life sometimes. Didn't even get to fucking retire. Pass away, motivator at 55. That's fucking awful, man. I'm sorry about that. A mulberry tree. Ooh, are those the things that look like kind of like raspberries? That's a good point, motivator. Those ink ribbons probably are. And when you get like cool stuff like that, like people will, some companies will kind of come out as like because right now the millennial market is really big for like old stuff. So you'll get like these like, shitty companies will come out and make like a fucking one. I forget what the camera's called right now. It's escaping me. But those cameras that instantly put out the film. Companies will come out and make like a shitty version of that and sell it for like $60. So of course it's not going to be that good. But it's like I would love to, I would drop $300 on a good one. Like right now. So with my daughter just being born, my dad had he always had a camcorder growing up, and I was born in '93. So when my dad he documented everything, and he had the fucking big ass camcorder that like the porno guys have on their shoulder that are so big and they weigh like 30 pounds. My dad had cameras like that because my dad was always into technology even when he was young. He was into arcades. He bought a Commodore when they first came out. He had the fucking Pong, where it was like a huge computer tower that only played Pong. He bought that when he was a kid. So he had the Polaroid. Thank you. So he had the huge camcorder when we were young, and then he had a camcorder. When they got smaller, they made him small. He had a Sony one, and he captured our whole lives growing up, which was awesome. Every football game, every dance, every baseball game, all that stuff. So I wanted to buy a camcorder because it just feels so weird taking videos on your phone sometimes, and it doesn't have the same feel. And your phone can usually take better video than most camcorders, but they don't zoom very well, and some of the sound's a little funny. So I went ahead and I bought like a $1,200 camcorder right before my daughter was born. So I'm catching everything on that, just like my dad did for us. And he had the Sony. I went to the house a month ago and got it from my mom, the Sony that he had. And it was, let's see, it records not on tape, like not on like a CD. It records on tape, sorry. Those mini VHS where each roll of tape is an hour long. So I bought a Canon HF70, GL70, something like that. I love that thing. It's been awesome. I have like, it's crazy, even, with how we can record in high definition and stuff. It's got the first 2 days of my daughter's birth, and I have 150 gigs on the SD cards, which is pretty wild. Yep, I hear you, Frankie. Fuck cancer. They're not as fun as they look. Yep, yep. A super long story where Cain and Abel have to team up to face against some of the most dangerous SCPs. That would be interesting. Hey, little Linus, it would not be the same if you did not shake the picture. Of course, it looks the same, but it just wouldn't feel the same. So it's like, did you even really take it? Did you even take a picture if you didn't, shake it like that? You do need the large VHS to put the mini one in. Now, also too, you also can it depends on the camera, but the camera that the camcorder my dad got, you could hook you'd have to get a special adapter thing to put into the VHS player, or you can hook it up through the cords directly to the TV, and then play it on the camcorder, and then it would play on the TV. Shadow Thread, really? 75, and yes, had the Atari Commodore, all those old school toys. My dad loved that stuff. And I think he even, when he was younger, he had a 63 Camaro split bumper that wasn't even street legal because he bought it off of somebody that used it as a racing car. And it had like no AC or heating system in it because they were trying to take the weight out. So in the winter, my dad told us that he would have to warm up, warm up stuff in the house to put on to defrost his windshield. Let's see, checking if I missed anybody's comments. Oh, Janice. Yes, that is the story. I'm talking about Hell's Courtroom. So that was written by one of my favorite authors. So I got a couple up there. In no particular order, the top three is going to be, Woundlicker, aka Mark Lynch, aka Traveler. And he has another pen name too. But I think he prefers to go by Mark Lynch now. My other favorite author is going to be Elias Witherow. I talk about him all the time. He just writes some killer fucking stories. I mean, you'll find his stories. I have a whole playlist on him on the channel. Stories by Elias Witherow, stories by Woundlicker. Elias Witherow has written Feed the Pig, probably my favorite creepypasta of all time, especially when I first heard that. I'm married now and I have an incredible life and an incredible wife, but in my early 20s, I was with a girl for 3 years and she took her own life. So, Feed the Pig was, very cathartic for me. It's something that it deals with a real life problem of people with depression and taking their own lives. And then it creates this interesting theological creepypasta. And it takes that, and then the guy, in Feed the Pig, the guy takes his own life. He hangs himself in his room, I think, or in his shed. It's in his shed. He hangs himself in the shed, and he goes to the place called the Black Farm, which is where you go when you take your own life, and you have to feed the pig. It's ambiguous, doesn't know what that means, and he sees how horrible this purgatory is, because it's where people go who take their own lives. And he says, yeah, you know what, fuck this, I don't want to be here anymore. I shouldn't have taken my own life. I have much to live for. Even though in that story his wife cheated on him and he lost his job and stuff. And he feeds the pig, and it is as terrible as it sounds, and I love that story. And he goes through the pain, the trials, the tribulations, and the guy Danny in there tells him, you feed the pig and you either go back to your own life or you go to hell. And he feeds him, and then he wakes up and the rope snaps in real life in the woodshed, and he ends up not dying, which I think is an amazing story. Yeah, I think that's an awesome story. And Elias has a lot of stories like that. I wrote my own. You can find it on the channel. What's it called? I'm in purgatory, and I had to my way out. I have to climb the mountain. I have to climb the mountain, something like that. It was inspired by Feed the Pig. You'll find on the thumbnail, it is a guy in like a red suit and a cane, I think, in the rain, and it's completely inspired by Feed the Pig, and it's about a guy who takes his own life, and he goes through something similar, and he has to climb the mountain. No one really knows what it means, but it is a climb of pain and horror, and I wrote that completely inspired by Elias. That's probably one of my favorites that I've written on the channel. Let's see, what else do I love by Elias? There's seriously so many that it's like I don't even know which ones to pick. And then we got Mark. I recently did 2 of his stories back to back on the channel. The vampire climbed the Tower of Blood, and then Mark sent me that through email the other week, and I was like, hell yeah, I fucking love this, man. I'm gonna record this shit right now. Oh, I've been sent to Find a Way Out of Purgatory. That was another one written by Mark. Mark really excels in that afterlife creepypasta niche, which people love and which I absolutely love doing. We have, and crazy enough, Mark can write like sci-fi. Like if y'all have heard of the Astri on Dark Somnium, I know Dark Somnium's done a bunch. Like I'm a human in an alien war or something like that. One video is titled The Europa Trial, I think. That is an awesome sci-fi story that he goes through. Give me something to work. The conversation was flowing, guys. Give me some more to work through in the comments. I'm just rambling right now. Will you be doing any Corpse Bride? I don't know who that is actually, Allie. Is that a writer? I'm trying to think. Is that is that a writer that I heard? I know Dark Somnium's done something called Corpse Somebody. Is that the one that's called like the Tower of Flesh or something like that? I've been meaning to, whoever the author is of the story that I'm thinking about, I've been meaning to DM them, but will you do celebrity boxing against Dr. No Sleep? I would. Why not? Fuck it. Why not, right? But like I said in the last one, he probably has that old man strength. Ali, yes. Okay. That's somebody that I've been meaning to DM for a long time. But then the last time I looked, they hadn't really... I hadn't looked at their page now for a while, but they kind of stopped posting. I don't know if they still have posted or not. Dark Somnium was my intro into this whole world, by far one of the best narrators, favorite narrators. Magnetar's another. I 100% agree with that. Dark Somnium does have one of the best voices for this. And sound design, which Somnium is someone that I don't use to fall asleep because I don't like sound effects when I'm sleeping. And if in the story a telephone rings, he's got the telephone ringing, and then I'm like, fuck, I'm awake right when I'm about to fall asleep. But I listen to Dark Somnium while I'm working or gaming all the time. The sound design is impeccable. I need to figure out how he gets that special reverb in the story, because I love that sound. Thoughts on Steven from Lighthouse Horror? So, I'm not trying to start nothing, of course. I just want to say, Lighthouse, when I started listening to creepypastas again in like 2020, Lighthouse, I think I started listening to him at like 20,000 subs. He was, for years, my favorite narrator. By far, not even close. Steven can do a plethora of voices, awesome villain voices. He is incredibly vocally talented. But then his channel, a couple years ago, just turned into a fucking rules creepypasta farm. And a couple of them now and then are cool, but that's all his channel turned into. And I couldn't listen to it anymore. Dark Sonium has some awesome music. And like I said, Lighthouse still is incredibly talented. It's just that every story now is a rules creepypasta. And those, when they first came out, I liked rules pastas because they weren't very common, and there were like real stakes to breaking the rules in the first ones that came out, and now they've just turned into a content farm, and that's all this channel is now. And I just can't listen to a fucking rules creepypasta and all the time. I can't do it. That curator fella, I gotta see who that is. Yeah, his channel just isn't the same, and he's good. That's why he has almost 1 million subs. His ability to do voices is something that it inspired me to get better at, and I still could be a lot better. I think my strength lies within my narrative voice. And I'm decent at character voices. I do all right villains, but yeah, his channel is a lot different. You can't stand your own Aussie accent? Come on. We love Aussie accents. Also, guys, I just put it in the descriptions. I don't really talk about it really, during stories and stuff. It is very hard as a narrator to find all these stories for you guys. Like, it takes a long time. It takes a long time to find a story, vet the story, decide if it's a good enough story to narrate. Please, if y'all find something on Reddit, No Sleep, DM me. I have my Reddit handle in all of my descriptions. Send it to me. Point me to the direction that it is. If you have something that you've written and you want it possibly narrated, post it to my Reddit page. I gotta tell you, it's got to be at least 6,000 words because people don't click on anything really below that. What about Mr. Creeps? I don't want to say bad stuff about, y'all. Maybe y'all like him, maybe y'all don't. The last thing you want to hear is a creator that you like, not like a creator that, you like. He's not bad. It's just everyone's got their own feel for voices. It's all subjective. Some people love my voice. Some people fucking hate my voice. I get it. It's all personal. I'm not a fan of Mr. Creeps. I actually don't mind Mr. Creeps' voice. It's just the way he reads. Like, I'll just do something. Let's go right here. Later that night, I get a text message from Miss Turner saying that we should all get together Saturday night. The plan was to meet up at a park near my house at around 2 in the morning. I cannot listen to that cadence. That's just me. He's a good narrator. He has a huge following. Obviously, he's good at what he does. Oh, Nikki. Okay, so someone agrees with me. Okay. King Frankie, y'all too. So I'm not the only one. I went out to the store, and then I found... But absolutely, little Linus, to each their own. Everyone likes their own stuff. I get comments too saying people hate my voice. It's okay. Every voice is subjective. Everyone's taste is their own. Nothing wrong with that at all. Yes, but please, please send me ideas for stories. If you find them on, so if you find them on the creepypasta, I'm not gonna lie with you, Ali. I am 100% the same. Jordan Group is an amazing author. I can't listen to his narrations. That's just me. He is an awesome fucking author. He is one of the no sleep goats, I think. I can't listen to his voice. Which is so weird because I listened to, some people, and me too. Like, obviously, you're hearing me talk right now, and the way I talk is completely different to how I narrate. I listened to Jordan Group's interview with Mr. Grindless, who's an awesome guy, and I didn't mind Group's voice at all. But then the moment he reads, it just completely changes, and I can't listen to it. But his writing is impeccable. Let's see. I like a lot of smaller creators. My thing is heavy accents, hard to follow the story. Yeah, it can be difficult, especially if you're not from there either. I love Dusklight's accent. I don't know what kind of English Dusklight TJ is. I don't know exactly where Dusklight's accent falls in, but I love it. I love it because it's obviously I don't want to English, British, whatever it is. They have so many accents in such a small area over there, and TJ has like that slight like half British, almost half American. It's like a mix, and it's like a perfect mix. Thank you, Ali. What are some? Let me check the channel. What are some of my favorite? Let's check the playlist. So I'm checking on my phone, so it like makes it a little bit more difficult. Sort by content. The phone is so much more. Oh, there we go. Playlists. Series. One of my favorite series, of course, is the Darling Twins. Wow, there's like 18 Darling Twin stories. That's crazy. I need to update some of these playlists too. Okay. Wound Liquor. That Hell's Courtroom was awesome. I do love that one. What is some of the... so one of my favorites from Mark Lynch is I traveled through the 9 circles of hell. If y'all haven't listened to it yet and you want a long story, it's 3 hours long. It is one of my favorites from Mark Lynch. It is basically another telling of Dante's Inferno about a protagonist who goes through the 9 circles of hell. And I collaborated with a guy on there who unfortunately doesn't read anymore. I love his voice. It's Creepy Spaghetti. Is that his name? I think that's his name. Oh no, or Bloody Spaghetti. I don't know. I actually don't know what happened to him. He hasn't uploaded in a long time, and he's got like 30 minutes of dialogue in that story. I didn't know that the story was as long as it was, and I asked him to record it, and I thought it was like 10 minutes of lines. And then he said yes, and then I sent him the rest of it, and I was like, oh shit, man, this is like way longer than I thought. Are you fine recording like another 30 minutes for me? And he was more than happy to do it. He's a super awesome guy. We need more Mandrake. Yes, Nikki, I've got the outline for the next Mandrake story. I just got to write it. I just got to find the time, unfortunately. Between working 40 hours a week and then 15 hours a week on YouTube, and then now the baby is here. I just got to find the time. It takes a long time to write, especially I try to make the Mandrake stories at least 10,000 words, because about 9,000 words is about an hour-long narrated story. So I try to make the Elijahs over an hour to like an hour and a half. Some of them are even 2 hours long. 2 hours long. Your story scared the shit out of me. The potential possibility of death and the discovery you're in a league of your own. Thank you, Jarhead. The Afterlife ones are my favorite to write by far. How to Survive in Hell, my all-time fave. A lot of creators tried it. Dark Soniman does do it best. He absolutely does. I've done it too, but his reading is the best by far. That was by Rat Rotted. He hasn't written anything really like since, and he dropped that banger like 7 years ago, and it is my top 3 favorite. My top 3 are How to Survive in Hell, Feed the Pig, and I can't think of one off a third one off the top of my head. Anyone remember the Lily Madwhip series? So I never listened to it. I think Mr. Creepypasta is a great narrator, but he drives me fucking insane with how he puts his stories out in parts. That shit drives me fucking bonkers. The one thing I learned from Lighthouse was don't drop a 2-hour story in 9 parts. That shit fucking one thing, it fucking infuriates the listener. So it would piss me off because I don't want to listen to your 2-hour story in 17-minute segments, and I don't want it to take it 2 months. Mr. Creepypasta does that, unfortunately. And half the time, he doesn't finish the series that he picks up. Drives me insane. I can't stand it. So I won't listen to Mr. Creepypasta for like 6 months, and then I'll go through his channel, and then I'll binge a bunch. But the Lily Madwhip, the voice for that is Little Ball of Giggles. And I'm sure some of y'all know about the whole demonetization thing that's going through. It's hitting all the creators right now. It hit me. I got remonetized. I could be demonetized any minute again. Little Ball of Giggles unfortunately got demonetized. And she has an incredible voice. And she's a real actress. Like a real actress who does plays and everything. She got demonetized, and I listened to her video kill me, because she's kind of like giving up on YouTube almost, and she has an incredible voice, and I wish she would keep going. The Voodoo King, not my writing. That is Voodoo Clerk. That is Voodoo Clerk, an amazing author. I did not, Lighthouse narrated the first and second part to the Half Price Voodoo Shop. I don't think he's done anything else by Voodoo Clerk. I have a 4-hour story. I think it's like 3.5 maybe. When I was a kid, I joined a freak show. I did that a couple years ago on the channel. That's actually a story that I listened to because Mr. Creepypasta did like a 30-minute part 1 on it. And I was like, wow, this is awesome. Then I learned it was a series, and he never fucking did it again. That pissed me off. So I was like, okay, I want to finish the story. This is while I'm also a narrator. Let me go look it up. And I was like, oh, this is like a fucking 5-hour or 5-part story. So I read it to myself, and then I asked the Voodoo Clerk if I could narrate it. They said I could. That was awesome. That's one of my favorite stories too. And there is a part 2 to that, and I am working on that. I'm trying to find the proper voice actors for that. That's going to be a long story. I want to find the voice actors for that. Definitely going to have We Try Horror in there. Maybe Charon's Tales, Vox Animus, Whispering Screams, all of them. I'll try to get Dexter in it too. Maybe Vidith. And TJ, if TJ has the time. TJ's super busy. King Frankie, thank you so much for hanging out, my friend. I love seeing you in the comments tonight. Thank you for keeping things active. I really appreciate it. And I hope you have an awesome night, too. And if you're still in chat and haven't left it, there's like a 20-second delay on here. This story will be finished and uploaded as long as, I'm going to finish recording it tomorrow morning, probably. This story should absolutely be out tomorrow night. This will definitely be out by tomorrow. All uploads drop at 7. Let me know if y'all have a preferred time for these lives too, because I want to do these every week. I want to do at least one a week. What would you recommend to aspiring narrators who are still new to the field and have not yet reached monetization? The biggest thing I can recommend is just read. Read everything. Read everything, but you have to read it out loud. You have to read out loud. Don't forget Dizzy's voice effect. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Good night, brother. Read out loud. Read into a microphone. Listen to yourself. Critique yourself. The only way you'll get better is if you read out loud. That is the only way. Let's see. How much is left in here? Where even are we? We're in... feel right to take the personal stakes you had away from her. And it didn't feel right to take the personal stakes you had away from her. Okay, right there. How much is left? Damn! That's like another 25 to 30 minutes. Yeah, at least. I love all the collabs, but I have a problem as I listen to a lot of you, and when it's a collabs, I only get a story from 5 or 6 pages. Yeah. Should we still continue with YouTube? What program are you using? So, for live streaming right now, I'm using OBS. Excuse me, a little thirsty. For recording, I want to use Adobe Audition because I want to do voiceover work, and a lot of people use Audition for that. But right now I use Audacity because it is the easiest. You can jump into that, and it's very simple to use. Audition has a lot more stuff you can do with it, and a lot more sound effects too. People make a lot more plugins for that. Still continue doing YouTube. Still keep doing it. We don't know what the future's going to hold. Narration might be completely killed in a few months, or it could still be here. We'll see. It's going well on Spotify, at least. All right. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe I'll record for like 5 more minutes. Maybe I'll call it a night. There we go. That was quick shadow thread. All right, let's see. Yes, let's save this. We're at an hour and a half for the story. I will finish the rest of this tomorrow and have it uploaded. I've got thumbnail ideas, so that shouldn't take too long. And thank y'all so much for tuning in. I want to, like I said, I want to do this every week. Let me know if it was too early for y'all, because I started at like 7. I don't know if that's a little too early. If people want, I don't know if people want live streams starting at 9 maybe. Let me know if you even want some mix up. Maybe we game, maybe we do live readings. Who knows? But thank you all so much for tuning in, guys. I appreciate it. I had a blast with you all. Thank you for commenting and chatting, and I can't wait to do this again. And as always, thanks for listening, everybody.